Hey, how's everyone doing? I see people are taking bets on how much like Rob time I'm going to be on here, but I hope I was pretty close. I had to find some of the things for the stream, then they got misplaced. But so, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a lovely Friday here. I am personally cracking open this thing, which it's a sort of mojito in a bottle. Um, it's actually not bad. It doesn't really have the fresh mojito taste that when you've got proper mint and so forth. But it's okay. But yeah, it's um, it's probably been a week for everybody. I hope it's been a good week. But at the end of the week, you're probably just ready for things that are um, not work, not chaos, and especially if you've got what is it? Especially if you've got somebody's mentioning that they're in Nova Scotia and they've got fires going on. So I hope I hope that everything is okay there. Um, Whiskey 77 saying, Ian, I'm so glad you respect the community and Rob to take over the FNF when he can't. I every time Rob is away, people are like, "Hey, are are you going to be doing something? Because we gotta have something." So I always like to try to, and I just like hanging out with you guys. I'd be here hanging out with Rob if Rob wasn't away. So all right, somebody's saying I should put this over crushed ice. I don't actually have ice made. I took the ice tray out because my freezer's too full. So cheers. What's everyone else got to sip on? Whether that's water or cola or something else. I see somebody saying rain started in Nova Scotia. Um, that's a good thing. I hope we get more rain just about everywhere because there's a lot of fires right now, and that's unfortunate. I hope all of you guys are not sort of losing out on your nobody's getting pushed out of their homes and so forth. Um, Chris, never a poor substitute for Rob. Love you both equally. Well, thank you very much. House Hippo saying drinking fizzy water, drinking prosecco from Amber's Journey. Nice. I like a prosecco as well. White wine, nice. I'm actually thinking at some point I may maybe over like tomorrow or something. I'll head out into the backyard, set up the hammock, and have some prosecco or maybe some red wine and Coke. Uh, Pina colada from Vez in Quebec. Hello, Vez. Good to see you there. T and YYC. Nice. That's a good thing to be there. 10 millimeter is the best millimeter. I've actually never shot a 10 millimeter, believe it or not. Cranberry juice. I do like a cranberry juice, but that's a good stuff. Good stuff. I probably missed it, but why is Rob not streaming tonight? Rob is traveling. So Rob is away. He would be here if he was not. I think he's actually driving right now. So uh, water, it's so hot. It is stupidly hot out right now. Mint tea, that's a great choice. I want wine. Fair enough. I feel that one. I just finished a coffee. That's excellent. Celine Rosara is noting I've got water. And Rideman YYC, good to see you. Crown in Calgary, excellent. Whiskey 77, Redemption Whiskey, and a Pepsi Chaser. I'm not a big fan of Pepsi, believe it or not. I don't know why. I like Coke. I drink a lot of Coke, but I don't like Pepsi. It's weird. Um, Dorothy Woe has a proper Caesar. Excellent. Um, I could use a proper Caesar. A proper Caesar is good stuff. Uh, Schuffer Hofer. I don't know in PA. I don't know what that is. That's sounds interesting. Sparkling strawberry lemonade in Indiana. Nice. Countertop ice makers for the win. Too much dog food in my freezer. I don't have enough counter space for a lot of the countertop gadgets, I'm afraid. Uh, Rosé in Chicago. Nothing wrong with a good rosé. Jane Stoddart says, "Hey, Runkle. Hey." Uh, Mountain Dew and Casey's Pizza here in Nebraska. I've been having a pizza craving. I have been having a pizza craving in the worst way, and I need to get on that at some point. Hey, y'all, hard iced tea. Nice. Um, I think that's a brand of hard iced tea, isn't it? Wild cherry Pepsi for me. Nice. Coffee is it's only 9:30 a.m. here in South Australia. Nice. Um, I do a Canadian blended whiskey with a splash or two of the peanut butter stuff over lots of ice. You know what's actually really good? They make a peanut butter whiskey and like a chocolate liqueur. And so both of those mix together in milk. And um, you basically end up with like a Reese peanut butter cup as a drink. It has no business being as good as it is, but it's pretty awesome. Apple whiskey, nice. The other thing I could go for that I haven't had in a while is a paper plane, which is Amaro Nonino, bourbon. I'm trying to think of the other one, and lemon juice all mixed together, and it basically tastes like a lemon drop. And yeah, but it's like three kinds of booze mixed with lemon juice, so it's quite potent. Any thoughts on the Paul Bernardo move? We'll talk about that. Paul Bernardo is an interesting one. Spiked coffee, nice. Watching from the hot tub, sipping on a lemon water. This is not my favorite hot tub weather. I will tell you, my favorite hot tub weather is when it gets ice cold, like hair freezing cold, and then you can sit in the hot tub, and that is excellent. Um, Happy Hippie is not admitting to smoking a nice indica blend in Ohio, so I assume you're not doing that, which is, I guess, a shame. We've got a screwdriver, nice. IPA and PA, beautiful. Uh, Plum as You Are cider by Two Towns. Ooh, is that a plum cider? That actually sounds really good. Um, Saucon 2.0. We'll have to ask Rob if that's where he was. So excellent. Um, Cherry Dr. Pepper, awesome. So lots of people with lots of different beverages here. Hopefully, everyone's having a great what is it? A great evening there. So, all right. I see. Did you see the ChatGPT legal filing with imaginary case references? Yes, I spoke about that last time. We're going to talk about it a little bit more today. So, I guess let's talk about that right off the hop here. I'm just going to pull this up. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to show you what's happened to CanLII. So, if you don't know what CanLII is a research thing in the U.S. or sorry in Canada, where you can do a lot of case law research for free. It's just absolutely free. But they have this thing that they added, which is CanLII Connects, and basically what that was is it was allowing people to submit. You could submit basically a case law commentary or a review of a case, and it used to be really interesting, and it used to have lots of really useful commentary from people who were practicing in a particular field. And I want to show you guys what it looks like now, because this is a development that has me a little unhappy. Let me just find this here. Here we go. All right. So this is what it looks like now. And what you can notice is all of this stuff that is CatLII. CatLII, 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 CatLII. And if I go load more, it's more CatLII. Load more. More CatLII. Load more cat. And so you might be wondering what is this CanLII stuff? And it's all AI case analysis, is what it says. So when you click it here, it comes up with this description of the case that is really, it has nothing interesting about it. It'll tell you what's happening in the case, maybe, because I haven't actually looked through the case in full, but it doesn't actually tell us why I care about this case. It doesn't tell me why this case is interesting in the whole scheme of things. So I'm really disappointed with CanLII Connects right now, because it's taken this CanLII Connects thing that used to be full of really useful information, and then it just packs it with garbage. I need a way to filter out this CanLII crap, because it is just spamming the heck out of it. Hey, Aussie, nice to see you there. So I guess while we're talking about AI, we'll just talk about the latest developments in this AI case. So I'll give you a sort of rundown there. Jonathan, I see your comment here. We'll what is it? We'll go from there, or we'll talk about that in a moment. But so we've got Mata and Avianca. Now, this is the case where, if you haven't been following this one, so this lawyer filed a brief, and in the other side response to that brief was to look at it and go, hey, we have some concerns about this. We have some questions, because we were looking at this brief and it says the law is different than what we thought the law was. So we were kind of curious. We decided to follow up on this, and we decided to see what was going on there. And we couldn't find any of these cases, except for some of them, which don't say the things that you said they said. And so the court tried to check that in, and the court said, hey, we don't find them either. So, counsel, you are expected to file an affidavit with these cases attached, which counsel did. And then the other side was like, these cases still don't actually exist. They don't look right the way they're filed. Everything about this is weird. What the heck? So the court invited counsel, and by invited, when the court invites you to do something, you don't have a lot of options. But the court said, like, hey, come explain why I shouldn't punish you for filing what are obviously fake cases. And then their response was to say, well, as it turns out, the reason why these are faked cases is because we use ChatGPT for this. And the court was extremely pissed. They not only is the lawyer in question being brought before the court to explain why they shouldn't be sanctioned, but also the lawyer who actually did the ChatGPT research. And I say research because it was not good research. And then the law firm. And the funniest thing is that there was actually initially, it was a, hey, you need to show cause as to why you personally, Mr. Loduca, should not be sanctioned. And he's like, well, here's this affidavit from Mr. Schwartz who says that he did it. And the court's like, cool. Now I want to hear why Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Loduca and the Levido law firm should not be sanctioned. So we've got some developments in this one, and this one is fun. Let's start off with this. We'll just bring this up, and I see, why wouldn't you have someone double check the filing? Why wouldn't you double check it? Why wouldn't you at all check it? it's bizarre. So now we're seeing, please take notice that, Ronald C. Minkoff is now appearing as counsel for non-parties, Levido, and Oberman, and Stephen Schwartz for responding to the order to show cause. But it's not just him. They've got Ronald Minkoff. They've got a Tyler Malsby who's joining in. They've got an Ashley Alger. All are joining in to respond to this. And yeah, there is a consent motion for Stephen Schwartz, which basically says that they're going to extend things a little bit. They're moving the dates, and so they're getting some additional filing time. And then we get an extension. So the court just says the time for the written response of Mr. Schwartz and the firm is extended to June 6th. The hearing remains scheduled for June 8th. So ordered. So no extra time on the actual hearing, but a little more time to actually file things. Now, this judge likes to do this like writing in the margins, but it still gets a little terrifying here because now we also get notice of appearance of a Catherine Faughty, or that's my guess as to how it's pronounced, who is now representing Mr. LaDuca. So the lawyers are lawyering up, and this is a smart move here. I see somebody saying embiggen, but this is not really super important. We've got a Panina C. Moisa, who's now appearing for Mr. LaDuca as well. But this isn't the fun part. This isn't the hilarious part, because the hilarious part comes with this. They say, hey, Judge, dear Judge Castell, we represent Mr. LaDuca, and we see that you gave an extension for written submissions to June 6th. Can we have that same June 6th extension? We assume it applies to us, but we just wanted to check for sure. And the court has an answer to this. And I'm just going to say the answer to this is exceptional. Now, it's going to be hard to read because it is written in the margins. And yes, when your lawyer hires a lawyer, you should be freaking out. Absolutely. When your lawyer needs a lawyer to survive your case, that's a problem. So let's read what this says here. And I'm just going to read it out because I'm guessing it's going to be really hard to get out there. It says, Mr. LaDuca is differently situated from Mr. Schwartz and the firm. He has availed himself of a full and fair opportunity to respond to the court's order to show cause, regarding non-something case law or non-real, and 3 possible grounds for sanction. He is not entitled to a do-over. That language of he is not entitled to a do-over, non-existent case law. Yes, thank you, Pumpkin Pinay. Yeah, when they say he's not entitled to a do-over, the court is like, he screwed up real bad. And he's now filed his screw up real bad. And he doesn't get to fix that now. The court then goes and says the only underlined point of responding to the supplemental order to show cause of May 26th is whether he, in fact, physically appeared before Mr. Schwartz, a notary public, on April 25th, 2023, and took an oath to tell the truth. That should be a simple and straightforward matter. But if he needs until June 6, 2023 to respond on this point, then he may have the time. Application granted, so ordered. um, I'm just gonna say that language should terrify you. Just straight up terrify you. This is the kind of language. I saw another lawyer saying that they would basically, if they got this in writing, that their response would be to just straight up and walk into the river and never be seen again. I feel like that is where I would be on this. I would be in my office with a much larger bottle of alcohol than this one, just trying to drink until it didn't hurt anymore. Because, yeah, you know, I don't know how much I make of the judge just handwriting this in the side, because the judge has done several of these handwritten orders at this point. But, oh, I've heard that this might be sort of common practice in the area, the handwriting, but the language on this, the he is not entitled to a do-over, just tells me that the court is going to hammer this guy. Now, unfortunately, as much as I say the court is going to hammer this guy, and I've said that before over and over, oftentimes the court will hold off or pull their punch. But yeah, given the change in wording in the second show cause notice, I'd just be handing over my bar license. I mean, he might well end up doing that. I think that there'd be a real possibility of, I don't think that he's going to get disbarred, but I think there's a real possibility that he gets a suspension that is like a meaningful suspension. And keep in mind, even if you get like a 6 month suspension, a 6 month suspension for a lawyer is devastating. And the reason why it's devastating is that you have to write every client you have and let them know that you are suspended, and, give them options for what to do in the meantime. And most of those clients will respond by firing you. A ton of clients, having heard that that you are getting suspended, will just straight up fire you. And I've never been suspended, thankfully, but you've got to let your clients know, and you've also got to, you've got to sort of wind things up. It's tremendously damaging. Now, one of the things that I thought was really surprising on this one, and I'm just going to bring this up here because I think this is a little unusual, and I'm going to explain why. So we've got this. And we see, please take notice that Ashley K. Alger, and there's a bunch of them who are coming on, right? They've retained 3 lawyers. Of Frankfurt, Kernet, Klein, and Sells, hereby appears as counsel for non-parties Levido, and Oberman, and Stephen Schwartz. I'm actually kind of interested as to why we have the firm and Stephen Schwartz with the same counsel, because I actually think that they have a potential conflict of interest here, because the firm may want to say, whoa, Mr. Schwartz was acting on his own. Mr. Schwartz, we don't advise people to use ChatGPT. We don't advise people to do all of this stuff. Like, all of this is not okay with us either. So I'm really interested as to why they're doing, why they're all on the same, like, why they're all using the same counsel. I think there's a potential there for one of them having to point the finger at the other. And I see, my guess is at least one of these lawyers is provided by the malpractice insurance carrier. If I was the malpractice insurance carrier, I'd be saying, listen, we're appointing a lawyer to the firm and a lawyer to Mr. Schwartz, and they're going to be different lawyers and they don't get to talk to each other. So I'm interested, because this tells us maybe that they've got, maybe that they're sort of on the same side or same page as to this, and that's going to be really interesting as to how this ends up shaking out. I am really curious about this case. This is one of the ones that I'm going to follow. I'm also going to be following Mr. Blunt, Gentleman Esquire. So that will be that'll be a fun one to follow. So Creed filed a motion to dismiss. I thought we covered the motion to dismiss last week. So I did see that. I think we covered it last week. Um, so, and I see Phoenix is saying they're at least on the same team. Not necessarily, because they actually may have a substantial reason to be on different teams. So that would be interesting. Mr. Blunt should have used ChatGPT for his case. It would have been better written. I would have actually seemed like I would have, if I filed something like that, I'd probably argue it was ChatGPT. I'm not this bad. Real lawyer and law nerd from Florida here. Welcome. Hopefully I don't offend too much, but I'm always worried when I'm like, oh, I've got lawyers in the chat here who will check my work. But yeah, no, I mean, this is just a weird case. So yeah. So that was in the news. That one's been in the news. I'm just, I'm really wondering if Mr. Blunt Gentleman Esquire has had any updates in his case. But I'm guessing I probably shouldn't check Pacer while we're live here. Although I'm tempted. I'm just let me just see. Had not heard the Mr. Blunt need to catch up. Was that Monday's? Yeah, I posted a video on that one, and I also was on the Monday live stream, but I posted a video on that one, and yeah, I can't imagine how I'd react if one of my lawyers dragged the entire firm into it like that. Can you imagine that? You walk in, and you're like, "Hey, everybody, guess what? The law firm itself is now in trouble, and it's my doing." If I was the firm, like, I'm surprised the firm hasn't given him his walking papers at this point. But yeah, it's I am kind of surprised at all that, but we'll see. I mean, I'm worried, or at least I'm thinking it might be interesting if it might be interesting to find out that the firm encouraged this or something like that, because there's a real possibility, I think, that that's what shakes out, which would be terrifying. Let me see. I'm just going to try to see if I can pull this up on Pacer here, just to see if there's any updates to Blunt. I will also swoop while we do this. Swoop. I see this. His handwriting gets worse when he gets angry. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little surprised at that one. I also got some stuff in the mail, and I got some stuff, and my wife got some stuff. Both of them were hot sauces, and I can tell you that my wife is, at this point, she's like, "How many hot sauces do you need?" We've got a lot of hot sauces. Is Blunt the guy who puts his test scores in his bio? Yeah, and also filed them with the court. It was ridiculous. So let me just see if I can find the District Court of Missouri, it looks like. Or is it Missouri or Mississippi? I'm just trying to find Mr. Blunt here. Missouri. Western District Court. There we go. I'm just trying to see if I can track this just to see if there's an update, because I suspect that we're going to see some filings in that case, and I'm just real curious as to whether or not we've got an update here. Just Just there we go. Blunt docket report. What have we got here? Run report. It's going to charge me some money. Sadly, we don't have any new details. Okay, I just thought I'd check. I'm looking forward to that one. So, new hot sauces I've got. So, I've got Creole Maple. I have got KO Edition. All of these are from Heartbeat Hot Sauce. And where did I put the other one here? I had it here just a second ago. Louisiana style hot sauce. So, I am just I'm really curious as to how these are because I suspect that they're pretty good, but I'm kind of feeling like doing a hot sauce try here. And for comparison, I have my own hot sauce, which I still don't yet have I don't have the labels for. And let me tell you, I did not realize how much work it was going to be to make a hot sauce, folks. Um, the hot sauce, effort has turned into a lot of trouble. And I don't regret that. That's just, part of the process. But oh my God, um, the so for shipping bottles to the U.S. because a lot of people want are in the States and they want a bottle sent out to them. So the game plan is to, have bottles. Somebody orders a bottle. I send them a bottle directly, right? I have to fill out a separate form for each bottle as to where it's going. There's a prior notice for food service, and I have to send out a separate bottle or a separate form every time I ship a bottle. It's going to be ridiculous. But I mean, I guess it's what I'm going to have to do. I also have to figure out there's a process apparently for getting a waiver for the labeling. I also have to also determine if the guy who made it for me, because I've got an arrangement with a guy who does, like, he's a professional chef. He's got a fermentation business. I need to make sure that his business is FDA approved. So all of this is going to be a major, major hassle. But yeah, and I said online, I said on Twitter, I was like, it seems like it'd be easier to just sell drugs because yeah. Somebody says, "Can I have a template that autofills for you?" I'm probably going to set up something. FDA or USD. FDA is the one that's got a bunch of these rules. So, all right. Can't you just say no food in package? No, I'm not going to start messing around with with being deceptive on all of that. All right. So let's try some hot sauces. I'm just whoop. I just really sprayed way too much of the Creole Maple on myself. Let me see. I've got. Do I have a cloth here somewhere? Or am I just going to have to eat a whole bunch of Creole Maple? Yeah. All right. I had a paper towel. Creole Maple is actually quite good. The It's not as spicy as mine, I don't think, but I do like the sweetness to it. It's got a nice. What are the ingredients on this one? Vinegar, so it's a vinegar base, maple syrup, chipotle. Uh, yeah, it's pretty solid. I kind of like that one. I'm just doing a taste test here on mine. Um, the other thing is that I'm also trying to find a place to get these. Uh, what do you call it? Scoville rated. Whew. Yeah. This one is spicier, but at least it feels like it. Um, so, because I'm hoping to be able to say, hey, here's the Scoville rating on this, and here's what they, here's where they come in. But right now, I don't have that. So, all right, let's just try their Louisiana style hot sauce. That's very vinegar forward. And I think Frank's is also supposed to be like a Louisiana style. Um, this one I like better. I like the taste. It's very simple on the ingredients: vinegar, cayenne peppers, celery, red habanero, sea salt, garlic, canola oil. I'm just gonna have another little. Very vinegary, but nice. And their last one is their KO edition. This one I think is going to probably knock me out. We'll see. Pretty spicy, but it's got a good flavor to it. Not too heavy on the vinegar, although vinegar is the first ingredient. Cayenne peppers, sea salt, red habanero. Ghost pepper powder is way down the list. But yeah, no, these are all good. I'm going to use those. I see somebody saying I could use a spoon. I should use a spoon, but I don't have a spoon. I didn't plan that far ahead. Now, this is a little spicier, I think, but this is my my hot sauce. Little sweetness to it, a little bite, little burn. Somebody saying love Frank's. I can tell you, all of these are a lot harder than Frank's. So let's go through some super chats and some gifted memberships here, sort of while we've got a chance here. So, give me 1 second here. All right, so gifted memberships. Brentwood Chic, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Angel Singer, thank you for the member chat saying Coke here. Rosie Neufeld, thank you for the member chat saying thank you for tonight. And 3 heart emojis. Tiamo Lisa, thank you for the member chat saying liquid IV and water. Too much alcohol last night. Well, hopefully you recover. That's a rough place to be. Cheerful Bacon, thank you, saying lime sparkling water outside before making dinner. Nice. Angie Torres, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Gray saying, Ian, you are the best. Thank you for being you. Thank you. Honk Banana No saying 6 months in, still can't be witty and under 50 characters. Nice. Boppet, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Tactical Moose, saying, hope everyone had a great week. Enjoy the weekend. Deanna B saying, TGIF. I hear you. I hear you. Angie Torres saying, substitutes are just as good, Ian. Well, hopefully I'm in that category and not something more like imitation bacon or something, which is not as good. Ryanman YYC, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Aunt Jen O, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. And Catherine Fraser saying, happy to see more Runkle this week. Thank you very much. Sandra D, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Canonical Heat, thank you for 20 gifted memberships. I think we've got some heat here. And here, I can't wait to get these properly labeled. Brentwood Chic, thank you for 20 gifted memberships. And I'm reminded that I should remind you guys to hit the like button if you haven't already. I see we've got 1,000 people here in the chat. I think we're at 600 likes. So if you are enjoying the stream, hit the like button, and it's much appreciated. Callista saying won't be able to catch the full stream, but wanted to thank Runkle for hosting tonight. Thank you for joining me. Lizzie D619, thank you for the YouTube membership. Much appreciated. Rabbit, welcome aboard. Thank you. Dilo Agthe. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, I'm afraid, but thank you for the membership. Sandra D, welcome aboard. Thank you for the membership. Did you hear about this? Was just a regular chat, but I saw it and I thought it was really interesting. Did you hear about the AI drone that killed its operator in a simulator to keep from getting a no command so it could complete its mission? The guy who told this story has actually come out to say that it was actually a hypothetical scenario, as opposed to something that actually happened in the simulator. So that is it's sort of a simulation of chaos. But it does raise good points about AI and how and where it struggles. Trent Van, thank you very much for the YouTube membership. Much appreciated. Stephanie, Court TV 1 year Debt Be Heard review has you, Rob, and Larry in line at the end of it. Happy Friday. Thanks for having a live tonight. I will have to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Casey Cat, a major big effing whoops. Yep. Oh, and I've got a phone call coming in. I don't know who it's from, so they're going to have to hopefully leave a message. I hope it's not urgent. Brissy Girl, thank you very much for the super sticker. Much appreciated. John Carter, thank you for the super sticker. Much appreciated. We covered this one, but welcome, Heidi. Vez from Quebec for the pro bono jar. Because I love listening to you. Well, thank you very much. I haven't been to Quebec in a long time, so I would love to. I got to make it back there because, yeah. If I were to egg the Prime Minister, is there a precedent case outcome or an idea of what I would be charged with? There is, because somebody threw gravel at the Prime Minister and ended up getting, I think it was a short period of jail. So, it's a bad idea. Don't do that. So, Amy, not gonna lie, I missed the banter between Law Daddy and Leather Daddy, but better one than none. Yep. I mean, it'd be good if he was here, but right now he's driving around and so forth. Do you all get spam calls as much as we do in the States, Ian, or any Canadian? We do. And I can tell you that Canada actually had this really big blunder with regards to spam. And here's the blunder. Canada basically said, hey, we're going to create a do not spam list. And then any Canadian company that spams these will get penalized. And so a ton of people signed up to the do not spam list. And what ended up happening was that foreign companies, like foreign spammers, like from India or wherever, they bought that list. Like they got that list because they're like, we're Canadian companies. We need to know who not to spam. And then because they're outside of Canada and not subject to Canadian jurisdiction, they proceeded to spam those numbers because it was a list. Like, here's a list of numbers that people actually use. And whoops. It did not work out very well overall. Yes. Did I see the Nova Scotia CFO said they did not waive requirement for ATTs? Yes. And I actually put that video to private. I'm going to record another video to basically say, hey, let's clarify this. I tried calling the Nova Scotia CFO. I actually tried calling them beforehand. They're impossible to get through to. You just can't get through to the CFO these days. Canonical Heat, I love peppers and hot sauce, hence the handle. You and me both. I'm hoping I can have some of these out of my house. So my wife, because I've got now like 50 hot sauces that are just my hot sauce, she's like, you have to figure out how to get these out of my house. And I'm like, yeah, we'll have to see how to do that. So Nicole Christine, we've got Karen Carpenter. Thank you for the new membership. Much appreciated. Nicole Christine, you can never be imitation bacon. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Well, thank you. I'm hoping that I can be more like a portobello mushroom burger, where it's like, hey, it's not the thing, but it's pretty good all in all. Um, you know, I love a good meat, good beef burger, but a mushroom burger sometimes is just top notch as well. So whenever I'm doing a barbecue, I get some portobello mushrooms as well, just for that, and I often have one. Ian, did you ever contact the Toronto trademark lawyer? I am so far behind on a lot of that stuff. Um, I've got some trademark stuff. I need to maybe get some additional. I need to get maybe some additional trademark stuff going, because now I've got hot sauces that maybe I should trademark. So, yeah, right now they're not trademarked, but yeah. Michael deleted. Can you currently ship the hot sauce to Canada? I think so. I think I've got the Canadian requirements covered. I just don't want to sell out before offering it to a bunch of people, so I got to try to see that. I see. Will I be able to get one to the UK? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into other countries as well, because every country has their own rules for food, and um, it's difficult. Um, Ian, make a rack for your hot sauces in your office. I should. I totally should. Um, so, hi Ian, man, you cut some unwarranted BS earlier on Laid Back. That that was. I'll tell you guys the story. I'm not annoyed. It was just kind of like, what the heck. So I'll talk about that one. Um, can you shift some of your hot sauces to your beverage fridge? Right now they're on a cupboard. Can you do a pre-order so you know how much you'll need to stock? What I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna sell them, and then I may sell out. We'll see. If I sell out, I'll set up a like basically a thing where you can sign up and say, "Hey, I'm hoping to be on the next run," and then um, when I go and do another run, I can say, "Hey, we need to do it this at least this much," right? So that'll be a thing there. Um, and Aaron Morgan saying, "Wash your hands, especially before you go to the loo." Yeah, I've made that mistake before. And Midnight Brewery, thank you for 5 gifted memberships, much appreciated. I think we're all caught up here. I think it was bad timing with laid back news today. I think so. I came in late, so we'll just see. And will I cover the Danny Masterson verdict? Yes, but that one will be a little later. All right, 1 second. I'm just going to do a swoop, and then we can talk about laid back news, I guess. All right, so I guess because people were talking about the laid back news stuff, laid back news was talking a bit about sort of the trans issues, which I gotta say are not my favorite issue to discuss, because quite frankly, I think that the rhetoric on it gets a little overblown, and people want to use the most shocking examples, which are often misdescribed, and they want to portray this as this ontological battle between good and evil, and it's more complicated than that. And some of the people who are sort of big figures in this are not reporting their story honestly, and are not and are not being reported honestly. So let's talk about CD, I guess. Now, CD, it's the case involves a minor child, AB, and the dad, which is CD. And so basically, the report has been that this guy went to jail because he wouldn't let his kid transition. Well, that's not it. He was locked in a court battle about. They're in a court battle about about whether or not the kid can transition, and ultimately, what the court decided on that one is the kid is old enough to make medical decisions. And so the court ended up basically saying the kid has permission to take the following steps without the permission of either parent. And basically just said, hey, we're cutting the parents out. And somebody's saying, wait, A, B, and C, D? If you're wondering why it's A, B, and C, D, it's because it's to protect the identity of the kids, right? So they just added initials, and it's literally A, B, C, D, right? It's just these are initials, have nothing to do with the kid's actual name. The kid, I think, was 12 at the point where litigation started, and like 15 at the point where things, where that ruling came in. So, but yeah, the kid is basically allowed to make their decisions. And that's not the part that's sort of, that is really curious, because the dad is going and saying, I was jailed for disagreeing with this. Well, what the court ordered was that the dad wasn't allowed to use the kid's name in media reports, because this was causing actual damage to the kid. This was causing actual harm. It was causing this kid to get bullied. It was causing this kid to get harassed online and offline by people who were taking an interest in it. It was getting, like, this kid was actually getting targeted by people online who were upset by this, who were reaching out to this kid to harass the kid. And so the court was like, you need to stop name dropping this kid in news stories, because it's actually causing harm to the kid. And the kid ended up going and getting a protection order against the dad to say, like, you got to stop this. And people are asking, how old is the kid? I noted, like, kids started at like 12 in this process. By the time of these rulings was like 15. Dad kept going in contravention of that court order that basically said, hey, to protect the kid, you've got to stop name dropping the kid in public. This kid is getting death threats. This kid is getting, all sorts of things. And so that was why dad ended up getting in trouble, is because he wouldn't stop, putting the kid's name out there in ways that were actually potentially endangering the kid's safety. So I'd have more sympathy about his claims of, like, hey, I want to protect my child, if he wasn't also doing things that he knows are endangering the child. So when you're violating a protective order, that's when you run and get into trouble. You know who else got into trouble? The lawyer for the dad. The lawyer for the dad is facing sanctions. I think he got sanctioned as a result of this, because the court was like, you need to also, like, you are a lawyer. You need to stop name dropping this kid, because, like, you can't be doing that. You're a lawyer. Like, we ordered that this would not happen. And here you go. But instead it was, instead that kept happening. So, I mean, we get decisions, the decision out of 2023 here, where, and I'm just looking at the court decision here. Maybe I'll bring that up and put it up on the screen here. Give me 1 second. I can share that screen with you guys. We'll just put that here. And hopefully you guys can see it. So this is the case of the Law Society of British Columbia and William Carey Lind, which they note that he has 50 years of practice, but that he committed misconduct as detailed in citations for breach. And the breaches are that he breached the terms of the publication ban made, and the anonymization order and the protection order, by posting online, causing to be posted online, or failing to remove from online one or more documents itemized in Schedule A. Breached the terms of a protection order by making one or more statements in interviews with media outlets when you knew that that was contrary to the protection order. And breached the term of this order by emailing a copy of the order and a related sealing order to the editor of a legal publication, and that these constitute professional misconduct. So when they're talking about like, oh, he went to jail for opposing, the transition, he was allowed to oppose the transition. He was allowed to do that, and in fact did do that in court. And in fact, the court said you're also allowed to talk publicly about your opposition. You're allowed to do that too. What you're not allowed to do in the, what you're not allowed to do in the course of this is to name drop your kid. You can say my child, and that would be fine. He could have done that, but instead he was persistently doxing his kid to the internet in ways that that got in trouble. So yeah, it's the case is more complicated than it gets revealed, and it's not about what it gets talked about. That's what frustrates me, right? Because we see so many cases that make it to the media, and the media twists them around into something that they're not, twists them around into something that is different than what they are. And, so and it's usually because they have a cause. So with Rittenhouse, we saw the facts of Rittenhouse were twisted around so that a lot of people who were watching the media, I mean, there were people who watched the media and came away thinking that Rittenhouse shot black people when he didn't. There were people who watched that, and part of that was to fit this narrative of, what was going on. And Kyle Rittenhouse, whether you like him or not, he doesn't fit the narrative that was being put out there. You had Depp and Heard. And Depp and Heard, once again, you had people who wanted the story to fit a narrative. And this happens with both sides. You had people who were like, we want this to fit a narrative of, women are never accurate when they're making domestic violence complaints, or people who are like, women never lie about this. And so people wanted the story to be whatever they wanted it to be. And then the media was kind of pushing the Amber side of things and was twisting the facts, twisting the details. And it's a problem. People get this idea that the court system is so unfair and so unjust because they're often watching media reports that are not telling them exactly what happened and how it happened. And I mean, you can be upset about this case. Be upset about this case if you want to, but be upset about what's actually happening in the case, because that is a very different, scenario there, right? It's a very, very different fact pattern. So, yeah, and it's just annoying that he can get his story out and it can be very powerful without name dropping his kid. Absolutely. So, and I see if you're old enough to consent to medical procedures, or you're old enough to vote, consent to sex, drink, own a firearm. In order, no, yes, no, no. Well, technically, complicated on the firearm aspect. But I mean, I consented to a fairly substantial medical procedure when I was young. I had my jaw was redone at about the same age, and I could have died. In fact, I got an infection that almost that could have actually killed me. It happens, right? Drink varies by province. I see. Own a firearm depends on the state. In Canada, you can't own a firearm as a kid. But you can get a firearms license as a minor that will let you go and use the gun. And so a minor can, for instance, go hunting with a rifle in Canada at a young age. So that is that's allowable. I mean, the consent to sex is age dependent because, younger teenagers can consent to activities with each other, but not with like a 50-year-old. So it's all complicated. But yeah, I mean, it's all of this is a headache. And these discussions, I mean, I sort of walked into a discussion that was ongoing, and I'm just like, I am so tired of these discussions taking up so much airspace. So that is sort of where that came in. And I mean, if that's your primary issue, that's perfectly fine. Like, everybody's is allowed to have their own issues and their own sort of focus. It's not my primary sort of area of focus or interest. So, all right, let's get on to happier topics, because I figured, given that one was raised, I should probably talk about it. But there's some happier topics that we can, some go through here. But first, let's swoop. Yeah, and I think I may have killed interest in the killed a lot of people's interest in the stream. I just sort of watched the chat go quiet. But this is kind of why I'm like, we don't need this kind of drama and stress and so forth in our lives. At least not on a Friday. This is supposed to be sort of a more fun day. So let's try to keep that up. We'll talk a little bit about some politics, I guess, though, but maybe not such high-charged politics. We'll talk about something a little more lighthearted. I see people saying swoop again. All right, we'll swoop again. All right, so there's the swoop again here. So let's look at a story here. This is so the background here is a story about some of the bills that are coming through in the Canadian political climate. The Canadian political climate right now, there are two bills that are really going to affect the media in a huge way. And one of them is Bill C-11. And Bill C-11, the basic idea is that we need to promote Canadian content by ensuring that that Canadian content gets sufficiently linked, and Canadian content gets sufficiently, pushed up in the algorithms, and there's discoverability and so forth. Then we have C-18, and C-18 is a bill that basically says that people who link to news organizations in Canada are thieves and pirates and need to pay money for the privilege of linking them, which makes no sense, because when you look at those two things together, like, how is it that Bill C-11 says that linking and, display of those links is so important that we have to make sure Canadians are getting enough of it? And then C-18 says, but it's such a bad thing that you have to pay for it. Well, the response that we're seeing from C-18, or from the media, or from a lot of this on C-18, is to say, hey, we're just going to stop showing news in Canada. Because if they don't link to news, then they don't actually have to pay the money. And so we've got this. We've got Meta. And Meta is now running a test. And so what they're going to do here is they're going to start blocking news content for up to 5% of Canadian Facebook and Instagram users. So and the reason why they're doing 5% is it's a test. They're doing a test run on this one. And so they're saying that they'll be forced to block news content from its platforms in Canada if the bill becomes law. And it could be as soon as this month, because that bill is currently in the Senate. So right now they're doing tests to see about the blocking. And the reason why they're doing the tests is because there was similar legislation on Australia, and when they tried to block news, they also ended up blocking a bunch of other stuff. I'm just trying to see the other stuff that was being blocked was like emergency services and government organizations and that kind of thing. They're saying we want to make sure not to cover that. So basically, they're just we're going to see this block going through. And there's a lot of companies talking about this because overall, as much as we're seeing that they're saying, so the news organizations are saying that they need to be fairly compensated to being linked, for being linked. But I can tell you, I'm a person who puts out content. I am a person who puts out, content online. And overall, I would love more links. Like I tell people in my videos, I'm like, share this video with your friends, subscribe to see more of this, because I want my videos to be in front of more eyeballs if I can. In fact, I'm just posting to Twitter right now. I'm saying live now, come follow the link. Boom. Because I want to be seen by more eyeballs and not less. So, to my mind, it actually is of value being linked, not something that they should be forced to pay for. And if they are going to be forced to pay for it, then it's entirely reasonable for them to say, "Hey, we're just not going to do that." News organizations are freaking out because they're saying, "Hey, we get like 40% of our, it's a huge amount of their actual traffic that they get from social media." And they're saying, we're going to lose all that if they block us out. Well, like, how does this make any sense whatsoever? So it makes no sense to me. I think that this is entirely backwards. And basically what this comes down to is this idea of when I see people defending this law, the way it basically gets defended is, listen, we need news media, and therefore news media needs money. A lot of the advertising budget has fallen out of news media because a lot of advertisers have so many more options. Back in the day when I was a kid, so like, dinosaurs were running around and, people were using bows and arrows and, it was the olden days. You had knights on horseback and dinosaurs and, mammoths and all of that stuff. So back in the day, the only place to advertise something was basically the newspaper if you wanted it to be seen. Like if you had a job posting and you wanted applicants, you had to go to the newspaper, right? There really wasn't any other option. And so that changed with the internet because, nowadays, if you are saying that you want to, if you want to do a job search, you're probably not going to buy an ad like a newspaper at all. The only ads I see in the newspaper for job searches are things like, vector marketing, which vector marketing is a terrible idea to work for because they're a multi-level marketing scheme. Like you see that kind of stuff advertised in the newspapers, but not stuff like, you're not going to get a job at, a law firm, for instance, is not advertising there. So this has meant that the money has really dropped out of advertising, and advertising was what paid for newspapers. Like you'd go and you'd pay 60 cents for a copy of a newspaper. And I know you can't get a copy of anything for 60 cents now. But you'd pay, whatever for a newspaper, and that was not covering the cost. What actually covers the cost of all the journalists and all of that was the ad revenue. But given that the ad revenue has really fallen off here, That doesn't mean that we are in a situation where uh, you can just take any business that is making money and then say, oh, well, they're the ones who need to pay for it now. And that's really what we're looking at, is just to say, like, well, these web giants are making money, therefore they need to be the ones to pay for media. But, like, why them? Why not car companies? Why not, I don't know, manufacturers of dentures? Whoever it is making money, right? It makes no sense. It's just a shakedown, and obviously they're not so keen on pursuing it. Um, so yeah, this is all. It's frustrating to see because, from my perspective, it might end up meaning that, like, Reddit, that Canadians are unable to access news articles on Reddit. Um, so yeah, that's just, it's going to be messed up. All right. So that's kind of that story. I had somebody who asked about it, so I wanted to cover it and, have a look at it. But let's talk a little bit about another case. And this is an interesting case, at least to me. It's a gun-related case, and we can have a look at it. So give me a second here. I see Back in the Old Days with Fred Flintstone. Yeah, pretty much. Um, so, and I see people saying, "Oh, or they could just use a VPN." It won't. A VPN won't necessarily help. Um, there's going to be all sorts of issues and all sorts of problems with that. So let's do a swoop. I gotta get. Like another. What is it? Another swoop. I also need to. I need to make another version of the thirst video. Um, so you know how I made the thirst video for Rob? I need to make a new version of it because um, there's. I need to get one that Rob can actually play. Is what it comes down to, because you guys have seen the. If you haven't seen it, I'll show you guys the thirst video because I think it's funny, and Rob's not here, so although Rob might be listening in his car, in which case, sorry, Rob. But give me a second. I will find the thirst video and put that up here. All right. That was probably a little too far. So I need to make a version of that Rob will actually play on his stream without, you know, basically being like, hey, Runkle, what the hell? Uh, so I'm working on replacing the audio. Uh, but that still amuses me a little bit. But we'll have to figure out how. I'm trying to figure out a good sound for that that's going to not be as obnoxious, but it's still got to be minorly obnoxious. We'll figure that out. All right, so I wanted to talk about a case here, and that is, I see Rob just got a speeding ticket somewhere to pull over and cuss you out. That freaked my dog out. Yep. I cannot imagine why Rob banned that. Yeah. Um, we need some light-hearted things. Um, I see the motion for your new swoop to be one or both of the pups running across the street. That's not a bad idea, actually. I'll see if I can convince the pups to do a like a proper run by. That I like that one. So um, we'll just we'll have to see. I think I've got a good sound effect here. All right, let me just see if I can. I might be able to tweak this while we're live, although it might slow me down. So we'll have to see. All right. You see, oh my god, animated version of your pups would be so cute. I wonder if I could get an animator to do like Potter and Zora. That would be a good one. Um, we'll have to see on that one. I bet you could get Zora to run by a camera with a cable. Oh, I don't want to feed her another cable. She's had enough cables. Um, she's really good at eating cables. It is might actually be her like this is really what she does just for fun nowadays. Uh all right, let's see if I can get this going here. We'll have to see if I can get this video functioning. All right. Whoops, I gotta get it to edit mode. Yeah, that'll be why I can't do that. In the meantime, we have a case to look at. So that case is now this is a U.S. case. It is a gun law case, and I think it's fascinating. Hopefully, you guys do too. We'll just have to see. We'll have to go through it because this one is about forensics and about what evidence is allowable. So, where's my share button? There's my share button. There we go. And we need him biggin. We need him biggin. So, this is the case of Illinois, state of Illinois, versus Ricky Winfield. And you might be saying, hey, what is this one about? Oh, and people are saying to use hot sauce. Zora likes hot sauce. She's my dog, right? She likes hot sauce. And she would eat the hot sauce right off the cables and then eat the cables. All right, so this is a revised order and memorandum ruling. So we've got a ruling here. And so this is just noting this matter comes before this court on the matter of this post-hearing ruling on the admissibility of certain firearms identification evidence, namely the multiple fired bullets and cartridge casings from the scene of the shooting, in this case, the testimony from a firearm examiner, Brian Parr, in order to link those bullets and cartridge casings to a .45 caliber high-point semi-automatic pistol, also recovered from the scene, and the 9mm caliber Ruger semi-automatic pistol, after this court allowed a discretionary Fry hearing and extensive post-hearing brief submissions and arguments by both sides in this instant matter. All right, so you might be wondering, what is this about? Basically, this guy is charged involving gun stuff. And this expert that they want to bring in is a guy who, what he does for a living is when they shoot a gun and they want to match a bullet to that gun, he does that. Somebody says, what's a high point? A high point is like a brand of pistol, like Glock or Smith & Wesson or Ruger or any of that. It's not known for being quality. High Point tends to make cheap, accessible guns. So, all right. So why does this matter? Well, because this evidence is used all the time. All the time. And so let's say... let's say somebody is found dead. They might come to my house and they seize my guns, right? And then they fire a bullet through my gun and they look at that bullet and they look at somebody else's bullet, the bullet that they found from a scene, and they say, hey, we think these match. The problem is, what are they looking at in terms of how they do this? Well, they take these two bullets and they look at them through a device called a comparison microscope. A comparison microscope is a It's a microscope that lets you look at two things together, and it shows you both side by side. So the reason why they use this is so that they can look at the little lines that have been carved into it by the rifling and decide if they look the same or not. And so this is a variety of what they call tool mark analysis. And tool mark analysis is basically any time you use a tool on something, the idea is that it leaves some sort of unique mark. So as an example, let's say I reach for a convenient tool here, and you can see this thing, and I'm just going to try to show it up close. You can see how this thing has like rough edges, right? Now, rough edges and so forth, most people are using like a knife or something that doesn't appear to have, any sort of discernible rough edges like that. So just to show you guys like a pocket knife, that looks pretty smooth, right? The thing is that when you get to the microscopic level, there's all sorts of little deviations and divots and so forth in that. So the idea is that any tool leaves unique marks that then can be matched to something else so that you can tell what made those marks. Now, we can consider one form of tool mark analysis, bite marks. Bite marks, so the idea of you bite something and then you match it up with something, with, the bite mark somewhere. Bite mark analysis has largely been rejected by the court because bite marks, it's turned out to not be that great. But we still use this all the time with guns, all the time. And there are people who have gone to jail solely on the basis of these, these gun, gun matchings here. So, they do note, and this is an important thing. It is important to note this order and memorandum ruling is confined to this instant matter only and does not rule on the admissibility of ballistics evidence as a whole. We're going to see follow-up cases to try to deal with that. Koru, my email address is in the about page on my, is in the about page on my YouTube page there. So he starts out by complimenting the scholarship and so forth, which, yeah. Now they say, similar to the subcategory of firearm identification evidence, tool mark evidence itself has not favored well after the bright light of evidence-based forensic methods and means has been activated. Yeah, there is reason to be concerned about these tests. And I'll talk a bit about why there are concerns, but we're going to see some of this as they go. So they say the burden of proof on the scientific evidence in this case is to be met by the proponent of such evidence, i.e., the person tendering the evidence is the person who has to show that it's good evidence, right? That just makes sense for admissibility. If you want to tender evidence, you have to show that it's good evidence. It isn't for the other side usually to say that your evidence is bad. You have to show that it's good. So in the instant matter, the state seeks the admission of firearm identification evidence, so it must meet the applicable standard of proof from such evidence before its admissibility can be allowed. The state suggests the standard of proof is preponderance of proof, so essentially balance of probabilities. And on the other hand, defense says not so quick. They say they agree that the state bears the burden of proof, but they say that the weight is going to be a little higher. This is really the, so they're adopting the more conservative view of the standard of proof. So they're saying that the standard is preponderance of the evidence rather than the clear and convincing standard. This is the more generous standard for, for the state. And I see somebody saying preponderance in this case, that's not admissible in criminal cases. Not necessarily true. The standard for, because this is a criminal case, the standard for ultimate conviction is, the standard for ultimate conviction is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. but that doesn't mean that that's the standard for admissibility of everything. So, Koru, it is runkleofthebailey@gmail.com. So that's how you can find, that's my email. See, a lot of sled guys are going to be out of a job if this gets held up in different areas. Yep. So one of the primary issues raised by the defense in opposition to the admissibility of firearm identification evidence in the instant matter centers around the defense's position that such is bottom to unreasonable and unpredictable, purely subjective human judgments to evaluate individual characteristics of such evidence, i.e., it's just two people looking at like just a guy looking at something and go and do these two things match. Whereas the state says a whole bunch of things, but they say the methodology employed by firearms examiners to identify or eliminate a particular fired component to another fired component or a test shot from a known firearm is generally accepted by the relevant scientific community. Now, I'm just going to say the relevant scientific community on this is not scientific at all. The methods used in forensic science are typically, in my view, not scientific at all. They don't follow proper testing. They just kind of, it's really the Wild West. And this is a real concern here because, they're sort of saying, hey, they say, listen, the discipline is practiced in countries throughout the world, including England, the Netherlands, Israel, Greece, China, Canada, and Latin America. The ubiquity of the practice of firearm identification demonstrates that the methodology underlying this discipline is accepted not only by practitioners of firearm identification, but also by the larger forensic science community, including laboratory directors and organizations that offer laboratory accreditation, among others. This does not mean anything because every bit of bad forensic science that we've seen has been in the same place. Hair and fiber analysis used to be done exactly the same as this. There used to be all of these people doing hair and fiber analysis, and that is now considered to be complete junk. A lot of these tests are actually done in situations that are just so poor in terms of standards. Like, can you identify these two things that are the same? But it's not like a lineup. It's just, we've given you two things that you already know are the same, and will you say they're the same? All right. So I don't want to go through all of this in this video because I will probably do another video just covering this case. But I just wanted to mention that this case is out there and it exists. And we can get to sort of the findings here. We'll go to the sort of ending here. And look a little bit at the conclusion here. So they we got to get up to A. So they say findings of fact and conclusions of law. The state's sole live witness, Mr. Todd Weller, on the general acceptability of firearm identification evidence was remarkably not credible in any areas of his testimony. Oof. Not credible in any areas of his testimony. Whew. And I see Luke is saying relevant scientific community is the standard in Fry. Yep. The problem is that relevant scientific community is the wrong test here. And I will rant to no end as to some of the standards that we use in this stuff, because a lot of the evidence that we allow in as expert evidence has no scientific merit. And we just allow people to pretend that they are a scientific, that they're doing science, that they're doing science when they're really not. So Let's look at just how bad the court dislikes Mr. Weller, because they dislike him real bad. Real bad here. So bad. Um, Mr. Weller demonstrated no desire to engage with or to understand the concerns of this field's critics. Oof. In his testimony before this court, Mr. Weller mischaracterized the range of false positive findings for the field of firearms examination, even in his sworn testimony before this court. Mischaracterized in sworn testimony? That's sounding a lot like something real bad. Do we have a word for mischaracterizing evidence in sworn testimony? I got some words for it. The court doesn't want to say we think he perjured himself, but that seems to be where they're going. Mr. Weller failed to objectively inform PCAST about the full range of error rate findings relevant to their 2015 review of firearm examinations. Oof. Mr. Weller lacked objectivity in virtually every area of his testimony before this court, which means that they thought he was biased AF. They thought he was biased as hell. The court here is destroying this man's career, because every time Mr. Weller gets up to testify now, they're going to bring this case out and just trash him. Just absolutely trash him. This court found the testimony, declarations, and corresponding defense exhibits of the following defense experts credible and helpful in establishing firearm identification evidence is no longer widely accepted within the meaning of FRI, including, but not limited to, so the defense calls a whole bunch of experts. Dr. Jeffrey Salyards, Dr. Nicholas Skurich, Dean David Fagman, Dr. Thomas D. Albright, Karen Tucker, and Dr. Jeffrey Kukuka. The studies the state submitted for consideration on the issue of general acceptability under FRI did not speak to the issue of general acceptability of firearm identification evidence. That's bad. They've got studies, but they're not relevant. The defense criticisms of firearm identification evidence were helpful, highly persuasive, and credible in this court's finding that firearm identification evidence is nothing more than a mere hunch, as that term has come to be known under Illinois jurisprudence. Mere hunch. Oof. The defense arguments that the general acceptability of such evidence under FRI are well taken, evidence-based, and credible in all of the following areas. One, the so-called forensic areas known on firearms identification evidence is a misnomer. There are no objective standards for testing that support any theory of general acceptability by the state in the instant manner. There are no objective forensic-based reasons that firearm identification evidence belongs in any category of forensic science for the purpose of the instant litigation and trial. The areas of firearm identification evidence have been at the root of a disproportionate number of wrongful convictions, which speak as a cry against any notion of general acceptability based on a FRI analysis. If such evidence is admitted in the instant matter, the process of penciling in defendant Winfield's name should be made. Wow. Did you catch that, folks? Did you catch that one? The areas have been at the root of a disproportionate number of wrongful convictions, which speak as a cry against any notion of general acceptability. If this is admitted in this particular matter, we should be penciling in this defendant's name as a wrongful conviction. This is basically saying, state, you are trying for a wrongful conviction here, maybe. Ooh. I love what they go on to say here. The Illinois State Police Firearms Laboratory has embedded standard operating procedures that invite cognitive bias in the initial analysis processes. One way this occurs is by way of its use of a side-by-side comparison of the evidence. This intentionally faulted and inherently bias-tainted method is employed by the Illinois State Police during its verification process. Intentionally faulted and inherently bias-tainted. Intentionally faulted is such strong language here because this basically says that this is corrupt by the police. The aforementioned initial and verification processes are in large part or even exclusively non-blind and selective. The employment of such techniques are not widely accepted within the mandates inherent under FRI. What he means by non-blind is they know which, like, what the correct answer is. They know what the answer that the police want. And keeping in mind that this is a visual identification, this is exactly what you're not allowed to do for a visual lineup, for instance. So let's say you're doing, everybody remembers, what's the movie with Kevin Spacey? Usual Suspects. Everyone remembers the lineup from that, right? Well, let's say that you have a lineup like that, but you tell the person beforehand, we really think it's number 3. So can you go into the room and tell us if you think it's number 3? What do you think the witness is going to say? The witness is going to say, oh, it's number 3. Of course it's number 3, because you've told them and you've made it non-blind. We should really be testing these people with a blinded system. And I see Anonymous here as a really good answer here. In other words, they should have 5 random bullets. Only one is the correct one. I would go a step further. I would say that these guys should be basically sitting in a lab at some point, and on a regular, they should be getting samples that have, 5 bullets, and they have to match. I'd go more than 5. Here's 30 bullets, and you have to match one. Here is 30. And you have, you get to decide. But here's the other thing. Only half or whatever are actual tests. Only half are actual court cases. The other times, we're just giving you 30 bullets. And none of them might be a match. Or one of them might be a match. And when we give you one where we know we've given you 30 bullets and we know it's 17, but you don't know it's 17, we expect you to figure out that it's 17. And if you can't, it means you are not doing science. But the other thing is, if we give you 30 bullets and we know there's no match in that 30 bullets, and you come back and you say, oh, we found a match, then you should also lose your accreditation. And I can tell you, I will set up this accreditation process for any firearm examiner who wants to. Any firearm examiner who wants to have a Runkle seal of approval on their testing for these bullet matches, I'll do it for you. We'll set up a thing. It'll be double blind. It'll be a challenge, and you will get a number of samples. I'll send you like 50 sets of 30 bullets, and you won't know which ones match. You just got to do the test. And if you can't do that, I will, I'll provide the opposite there. People say there isn't something already like this test. No. They do it the other way around. They do it the dumb way. So yeah. I'll set up this testing if any forensic firearm lab wants to do it. I can tell you they won't, because all it'll mean is that their examiners will fail. So, all right. As such, this court finds such ISP processes are not widely accepted and are out of step with many evidence-based analyses, which this court finds as yet another factor which adversely affects its not being a generally accepted method of forensics method and means under when examined under any trained FRI eye review. The state must meet its burden of proof in a FRI hearing. The state failed to meet its burden of proof required under FRI on the proposition that firearm identification evidence is generally accepted, and has failed to meet its critical burden by even the minimal standard of proof measured by the preponderance standard. If you're wondering why did they use the lesser standard, it's because now by using that lesser standard and saying, hey, this is the one we're going to use, the one the government wants. The government can't complain and say, oh, well, it was just he used too strict a standard. No, he used the barest standard on this. So even if the state were found to meet its burden of proof on general acceptability, any consideration of such evidence would be barred from admissibility under IRE 403 because it borders on not even meeting the relevant standard required. If the firearm identification evidence is admitted in the instant case, there will necessarily be a constitutionally prohibited shifting of the burden of proof, which should not be carried on the back of the defendant. Wherefore, all of the above reasons and findings, the evidence will be excluded. So they list the evidence that is excluded. Conclusion. They go on to talk a little bit about further things. Below is just a sampling of the wrongful convictions that have resulted from the flawed misinterpretation of general acceptance in the area of firearm identification evidence and the failure to reasonably interpret constitutional obligations under FRI and IRE 403. Charles F. Stiglo, a jury in New York convicted Mr. Stiglo of murder and imposed a death sentence in 1915 based largely on the testimony of a firearm examiner who purported to have matched bullets taken from two victims to Mr. Stilo's revolver. Despite reanalysis by 3 separate examiners disputing those initial findings, his conviction survived review on direct appeal, and he escaped wrongful execution only after yet another review, this time by a special prosecutor, conclusively revealed that the bullets extracted from the bodies could not have been fired from Mr. Stilo's revolver, and obtained a confession from the true murderer. He was finally freed and declared innocent in 1918, following 3 years of wrongful conviction. Fred Hampton, following the controversial death of Mr. Hampton, the chairman of the Black Panther Party of Illinois, at the hands of officers assigned to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, they appointed a team of prosecutors to reinvestigate the shooting death and present their findings to a specially convened inquisitorial grand jury. That reinvestigation involved, in part, reanalysis by the FBI of the firearm examination conclusions made originally by the Chicago Police Department firearm examiners. That reanalysis revealed several misidentifications had been committed by the original firearm examiners, including one associating 2 cartridge cases with a firearm possessed by one of the Black Panthers. In reality, the shells were fired by one of the law enforcement officers raiding the apartment where Mr. Hampton was murdered. So another misidentification that could have resulted in some serious problems. Darrell Siggers. In 1984, a jury convicted Mr. Siggers of first degree, I'm guessing that was murder, based in part on the testimony of a firearm examiner from the Detroit Police Department claiming that bullets taken from the victim's body were fired from the same gun as bullets found in the defendant's apartment. His conviction survived direct appellate review and multiple post-conviction challenges until 2015. When an independent firearm examiner reviewed the initial firearm comparison and disagreed with the original conclusion. A Michigan court then entered an agreed order vacating Mr. Siggers' conviction, and the prosecution declined to retry him. All told, however, Mr. Siggers spent 34 years unjustly behind bars. 34 years. Anthony Ray Hinton. Prosecutors relied exclusively on firearm examination testimony to convict him of 2 1985 murders. They matched 6 bullets from those murders and an additional killing to a revolver owned by the defendant's mother. He spent nearly 30 years on death row before being exonerated, largely due to reanalysis by 3 independent firearm examiners, contradicting the original firearm forensic evidence. In 1989, Mr. Ross, An LA, or this is the case of Ricky Ross. A sheriff's deputy was wrongfully arrested for and charged with the murder of several sex workers after 2 LA Police Department officers erroneously concluded that his gun fired the bullets recovered at the scene of each murder. Dismissed the charges only after 3 independent firearm examiners excluded his gun. Nanon McCune Williams. It keeps going, folks. Like, I can't go through all of these because there's a lot of them. But my God, right? So Victor Meinhardt in 2017, he was removed because he was found to have made a misidentification. Yeah. You know what? Let's go a step further. I'll put up a solid grand to any firearm examiner who's willing to go through my test. $1,000. If you win, you get $1,000. If you lose, well, if you lose, then you lost, and we're gonna make some noise about that. So, who wants to? I'll try to put that challenge out there. Alrighty, let's keep going. Then they leave in shame. No, then I circulate that to the internet. And so when somebody Googles for that specific expert to say, hey, this expert's going to testify in my court case, what can I find out about this guy? They're going to see, oh, right, he lost this. And then I can provide details to say, yeah, he lost this, and it's because he doesn't know how to do his job. He's not able to do the things. $1,000, not $100. We'll put it, we're going to add a 0 on that one. No, they don't owe me anything. If they win, they get the $1,000. If they lose, they get nothing. And if they win, I'll write them a letter saying this was an extremely exacting test, and that they're good at their job. That's, I will straight up do that. All right. So, just see here. Rob has just sent me some pictures. He is having a great time on his vacation. He is checking out a castle, and it is a super cool castle. I am envious. So, all right. In conclusion, hey, we got Moffat on Money in the chat. Welcome. So we see, in conclusion, the above sampling of wrongful convictions should serve as a wake-up call to courts operating as rubber stamps in blindly finding general acceptance of firearm identification's evidence. Wherefore, the reasons stated above, the junk evidence in question fails under the general acceptability standard of Fry, or in the alternative, IRE 403 delivers the final knockout blow. $1,000. I will, you know what? I'm going to go put this on Twitter. We are going to put up $1,000. We'll just do that as a fun challenge. Runkle firearm identification evidence challenge. If a firearm identification expert is up to the challenge, I will put up 1,000 for if you can successfully navigate a test of your abilities involving a double-blinded bullet matching task. You pay nothing if you lose. Boom. However, if you lose, I get to tell everyone. Boom. There we go. So there we go. We'll see if that is if anyone wants to take that. So $1,000 on that. I'm thinking we will not get anyone. I'm kind of tempted to like set this up as like a donation thing of the way James Randi used to do a thing for like anybody who could prove that they have magic abilities. Um, and what is it? Oh, and I'm being told I should specify it's Canadian dollars. I should note I am Canadian, but if that is the sticking point, we can talk about the currency. All right. So, because I mean, if somebody came and said, "Hey, I'll do it for 1,000 American dollars, but not 1,000 of your crappy Canadian dollars," then I would be like, "All right, you know what? We're gonna do it anyway." Because yeah, and somebody's saying, "Runkle, could you win?" No, I'm not good at that. Like that is not something. I don't actually think that it's something that a person can do. I don't think it's a you know but I mean, if somebody can say, "Hey, so yeah," if somebody says, "Hey, I'll do it for 1,000 American dollars," I'll do American dollars, right? But yeah, so I put in, "Hey, uh, I see $1,000 is not enough. You're talking about replacing a lifetime of income here. Need not a cop anymore deal." I mean, the thing is if you're good at your job, like if you were good at your job, then this should really be something that you can just do to make a quick $1,000, right? um, the task will be something that you could do in a day, or an afternoon. So who would pass up the chance to earn $1,000 in an afternoon? Yeah. um, yeah, James Randi Education Fund $1,000,000 challenge was remarkably good at making psychics lose their powers. I am really tempted to just like set up donations to, for that. And I see you're assuming that they would trust you to be honest. We can have as many independent reviewers as they want. Like we can have a ton of independent reviewers on that. Um, so, um, and I see you should make it so that they have to take the test twice so that you can have one that has a match and one that has no match. I am thinking 200 bullets done in 10 rounds of 20. Some of them, an unknown number, will have matches, and an unknown number will have no matches. Um, and you have to get it correct for matches and no matches. And yeah, this is the comment here. If doing it for $1,000 isn't easy for you, don't testify about it in court. Like you should be certain on this. Kayvon is saying, do they have to come to Canada? I'll fly to them. We'll do this. We'll do this. I'll fly to them. We'll set up protocols. We'll do all of this, but I'll fly to them, and we'll do it where they are. So, I mean, assuming anybody takes me up on it, I don't know. I'm going to start reaching out. I'll draft up protocols. What rate of accuracy do they have to have? Out of 10 trials, I expect them to get 10 right answers. Because we're talking about proof beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So, yeah, it's the risk of failure that doesn't outweigh, not to mention $1,000 is not a lot for a day of expert opinion. That's fair. Maybe I'll see about doing a crowdfunding thing and just put it into an account and just say, hey, maybe I'll like set up an account where it can just like stack up money, and then people can throw money at the challenge, and then we can see who's going to do it. So we'll just see how much it can grow. Maybe that's the idea. Is just people can throw money into this. I got to figure this out. I got to see if I can set up an account that is just the Runkle Challenge account. Maybe maybe that could be fun. What do people think? The Runkle Firearm Challenge account, and then we can just keep doing the, we can keep adding that. So you should offer your services to prosecutors that want to verify the credibility of their experts. I should. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to sort of do some math to get that to a, a situation where it's odd, or where it would be tough to get it by chance. Can we also have a hot sauce making account to donate to? I'm hoping I can sell the hot sauces at some point in the future. So I'm hoping that those will be sold. I'm asking Rob if he's willing to share. If you're willing to. So I'm asking Rob if he's willing to share where he's currently at. So please call it Runkle's Roundup. Maybe. The Runkle Bulletproof Challenge. Yeah. This is the issue there. We all know that no prosecutor wants the accuracy of their experts known. Yep. And the other is 1K might not be much for an expert opinion, but it's enough to be a prize, and not so high it creates weird incentives. It's just a demonstration of skill, not a competition. We will set up a... oh, and Rob is in the chat. Thank you very much on the super chat there saying, hi, folks. Happy Friday. What did we talk about? I'm in St. Augustine. Yes, you can share. We've been talking about junk forensic science. Was it doing contract manufacturing on sauces? Yep. I hired a guy to make the sauces, and I quite like them. Let's I guess I'll put up I haven't done this with this sauce yet, and I'm kind of afraid to. Somebody's saying, I bet Rob is in Scotland. He's not in Scotland. I guess if we get to, I don't know, what should I set? $100 in super chats from here, I will take a pull on this just to see how bad that'll hurt me. Also, I think I've got a new, let me test this out. Present video file. I think I've got a new thirst video or thirst thing. I feel like that one is Rob friendly. I feel like this one is Rob friendly. I'm not handling Spidey's cheating revelation very well. Needed a vacay. Lindsay, take a pull on that. That didn't take long. Jeez. And Brentwood Chic, I'm going to have to take 2, aren't I? Oh. All right, let's... this one's kind of scary, so give me a second. It's oh. That one hit me a second later. Oof. So I'm adding to my brand videos the video clip of the Rob Thirst. All right, if we get up to, I think we're at 70 on the second one. The 70 will take to here. Ooh, this is the spicier one. I've got to refresh the. Where did my Sharpie go? My Sharpie fell on the floor. I've got to refresh the markings so I know which one is which. Which one is which? All right. I feel like that is a. I feel like that is a good thirst video there. Ooh. So this is the hotter one. So we'll have to try that one. And I see the people noting Spidey was cheating on Rob with EDB. Rob is taking the turtle in the breakup. Uh, but who gets the pickle? Who gets the pickle in that breakup? Um, so what do you call it? I still need to get the to pin EDB down in order to do the Legally Blonde one. No, Ian, that one makes me want to gag. Fair. All right, I'm being told that we are at a particular time. All right. So the spice must flow. Yes. Um, and I see Ian, your braid finally arrived at Canadian Customs. Watching the stream and programming my CNC router. We'll try to finish EDB's braid this weekend. Awesome. I need to. What is it? I need to do some leather work. I've got a project. It's been a long time in the making for David at Prototopics. It is going to take a while longer because after the leather work is done, I have to cut some metal. And after the metal cutting is done, I have to go over it with a wire brush. I have to paint it, and then I have to make. And I'm gonna have to consult with Rob. I'm thinking of using the table saw for it, but I need to check with Rob to see if how to do it to so that I don't die. Not dying is important, but I need to see if I can make it into a proper frame. The goal is to have a bunch of wooden. The goal is to have a bunch of wooden panels to be a DM screen. I see. Does David know about it? I wouldn't want to accidentally ruin an amazing surprise. I've talked about it enough that that I'm sure he knows about it. I haven't hidden it from him. I actually asked him. If I could. What do you call it? I asked him for what design for the center panel, and that's how I came to the Campfire Networks or Campfire Kingdoms thing. So yeah. Rob is asking, why am I using the table saw? So I've got molding that I want to cut an edge off of. So yeah. I see to get a hot sauce or the hot sauce into the US, source a manufacturer in the US to produce it. Maybe. I'm hoping to do it local. I'm hoping I can, because I like the guy who makes the hot sauce for me here. Have you heard they're making leather-like material out of cactus skin? I have. I haven't actually tried any, but it would be nice. So I see. Oh, hey, Rob, we nominated you to make a spice rack for the Runkle's office. It's to be vertical and made in the shape of an AK magazine. I could probably make a. A vertical one or one there. Oh, great description. I can totally tell exactly what you intend to do, and it's totally safe, just like you described it. Yeah, I'm told I need to make a feather board first, so I guess I have to do that. And then once I got the feather board in place, I shall hopefully be able to just run it through. So we'll just have to see that. Yeah, and I say please do it local, otherwise it makes shipping difficult for Canadians. I mean, I got 160 bottles in the other room, and tomorrow I have to go. I've got a bag. You know what? I'm gonna put you guys on. I'm gonna put you guys on hold just so I can show you the most ridiculous thing in my house. The most ridiculous thing. So give me 1 second. I'm just gonna put you guys on. Here we'll play the intro video, and hopefully that'll be enough time to sort of for me to run back here and get the thing. Boom. All right, so I am back with the most ridiculous thing that is in my house. You guys will straight up laugh, and oh my, it's cold. I put it in my lap, and it is cold. So let me show you the most ridiculous thing that is in my house. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? This is the most ridiculous thing in my house. If you're wondering what this is a bag of hot sauce. And if this breaks, I am going to suffer so badly. So I am just, no, not that drawer. That drawer is full of sharp things. Let's just tuck this into a drawer so that it doesn't break on me. That is entirely a big bag of hot sauce. I don't know how many bottles that fills, but yeah. I joked about like, hey, how many donations would it take for me to dunk my head in that? I would die. So tomorrow I'm planning on going to Uline to pick up to pick up more woozy bottles. Like these are woozy bottles. This little bottle there. So yeah, I want to get that into bottles rather than into like, because the bag is just a recipe for disaster. Somebody's saying marinate a steak I can't marinate a steak in the bag because then I can't sell the bag. And I see Ellen has connections. Yes, I've been talking. I got to get the FDA approval number for my fermenter guy. And once I have that FDA fermenter number, I will, I hope, be able to send some of this to the States. At that point, I'm good. So, and I see Kestrel is saying use a different color lid for regular versus spicy. I have different color. I have actually an entirely different label. But we are over the limit, so I'm going to take a pull on the spicier one. This is going to hurt. All right. Whew. That's pleasant. I like the taste. I am fighting the urge to drink. Fighting the urge to drink. How much of a Stollery donation for the I don't know. I'd have to see how much would be in there. Yep, that's got some spice to it. Whew. I mean, it's not the hottest sauce I own, but it's a pretty good. It's a good spice level. I can say I made a. And somebody's saying, is that open top or dripper lid? It's open top. I can say that I made a sandwich the other day. I put a bunch of my hot sauce in it. It was so good. It was so good. I actually might do that again later. Somebody's saying, am I okay? I'm going to be okay. It's got some spice. I can show you guys the mock-ups. I don't have the text fully done, but I can show you guys the mock-ups. I showed it on my Monday stream, but I'll show you guys the mock-ups for my spice labels here. So this is my mock-up for the less spicy level. Title of Everyone Makes Mistakes. And it's got the nutrition facts which are required. It's got the hot sauce label. It's got all of that. I see. Blink if you can still feel your lips. I can feel my lips. They're just they're tingling. I can tell you that. Um, oh, I love this. Went to Tandy Leather yesterday and bought 2 coin pouch kits so my son and I could work on them while summering in a Soyuz. Love it. Um, I like Rob's saying of go make something, you'll feel better. So this is the one label. And the other label that I've got here is this one. This is for the spicier level. So I'm hoping I can, I'm hoping I can do that for both of them. See, you should outline everyone makes mistakes in white to make it pop even more. That's a good thought. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. But so it should be good. These, yeah, I see somebody saying it's low sodium. I can buy some. Yeah. I mean, if you want, we could go through it. It's got 20 milligrams of sodium per 1 teaspoon. And I got to say, if you go through a teaspoon of this, that'll be pretty epic. At least if you go through a teaspoon in a sitting. I'm just dabbling because that's probably easier to read. That everyone makes mistakes. Lift. Can I turn the intensity up? That might be better because now that's much readable or much more readable. So yeah, people. I haven't worked out. I mean, the labeling, the text isn't yet lined up, but I am definitely keeping the 100% vegan, only cruel to humans. That's staying. Somebody's saying, what is it? What are the Scoville levels on the two? I haven't been able to test them. I want to go and get that tested. So we'll have to see. Will the label fit on small bottles and still be legible? I'm going to have to test that. So, I mean, I'm going to have to do a print and because this is going to be a 3-inch by 5-inch label. So I'm going to have to do a test. I got to see and make sure that it actually fits. And yes, I'm going to have to pay someone to lab it. There's a school in Canada that actually will do or that did Scoville testing for a different person, like a different Canadian hot sauce maker. So I hope that'll work, but we'll just have to. I'll have to see. If not, I might have to ship it to the States. And if I've got to ship a sample to the States to say, hey, this is what the this product is, then I don't know if it's going to make it. So somebody's saying, can we make posters of that as merch? I hadn't thought about that, but maybe. Can you make the text box shaded in, give some distance between the words and the images? Maybe. I will. I'm going to play around. So I'm going to see about what we can do. Different colors on tops. I've only got, like, the tops I've got are all already just white. So I don't really have a way. Maybe I'll see about getting, like, a sticker for the top so I can do that. Am I using Canva? Yes, this is done in Canva. What if I intentionally make a spelling mistake on everyone makes mistakes? I could, but yeah, I am. I'm still feeling the spicy, but I'm also going. I'm kind of going. I could take another pull. So add a QR code to link details. That's not a bad idea. So I will. I will look at that, and we'll have to figure that out. Because yeah. If you want to send me the Canva link, I can help. I can figure out how to do that. Nicole has ADHD. Send me a Twitter message. I will try to figure that one out. All right. So let me just do a swoop here. All right. So now that we are at spicy time, we can look at some of the other stuff that's been going on in the news, because there's been a lot of stuff going on. And some of it people have been asking me about, and I'm just like, well, I would love to talk about this, but YouTube will hate me. So we're going to try to talk about some things that are, we're going to have to tread carefully, just to be a little, we're going to have to be respectful of some of this, because it involves some serious allegations here. So um, let me just pull this up here. All right. So this is the case of Taylor D. Shabusiness. Well, Wisconsin versus Taylor B. Shabusiness or Shabusiness. A lot of people had questions about this one. This is we'll look at Danny Masterson in a moment, but this one is Shabusiness. And so the reason why this one got people really upset is because there is a line in here that is just, well, let's get to the line. Let's get to the details there. All right, so the defense, so they're asking, this is a motion to dismiss the charge in count 3. And so, yeah, this one is, and yes, I believe that this is the case, that she's the one who attacked her lawyers. Yeah. All right, so they want to throw this charge out because they're saying that there's insufficient evidence to support the claim that ST was SA'd. The state alleges that an object was placed into the no-no zone of the alleged victim, ST, yet the state lab report yields an inconclusive for DNA evidence. The report seems to indicate that the swab from the object indicates the possible contribution of DNA from ST is inconclusive due to the complexity of the mixture. So they're basically saying there's no DNA evidence on this one. Now here is one of the things that got people upset. The state alleges intercourse, yet the alleged victim's appendage, brackets penis, was apparently found separate from the decedent's body. The decedent was not able to consent as specified in Wisconsin statutes. The state seems to rely on comments from the defendant, who was under the influence of trazodone and methamphetamine, when defendants were interrogating her about the alleged SA. The defense argues that the defendant's alleged answers to questions are not reliable due to being under the influence of drugs. And there's another argument that they make here, or there's some more arguments here. So they give us some jury instructions. Those are important. So the defense argues that there is no evidence that the defendant put anything into the penis of the deceased. The defense argues that any claims that the defendant put an object into the other opening as the deceased is without merit. I don't know why I've been saying one and not the other, but I should have just been going no zone throughout the whole thing. Here is the one that's really shocked people, and let's sort of go through this one because it's really shocked and horrified people. The defense argues that ST, that's the victim in this, was not a person at the time of the alleged incident, as ST was deceased, and therefore Wisconsin statutes do not apply. That's the SA statutes. The defense asserts that once the person is deceased, then they no longer are a person as defined under the jury instructions and the statute. So they're saying that this can't have been an SA because he was dead at the time. Now, I'm just going to say this actually has a striking parallel to a Canadian case. And I'll talk about that case as we go. So, yeah. This is a big one there. So the Canadian case, and I'm going to have to tread carefully on this one. So this guy is in an alleyway, and he finds a sex worker unconscious. He says he thinks. And he decides to assault that unconscious woman. The police roll up and catch him in the act, and they determine that the person was dead. And not only that the person was dead, but in fact, the person had been dead the whole time. And so he gets charged with interference with a corpse, which, is a bad charge. And especially under those circumstances. Now, his defense is that he can't be convicted of the interference with a corpse. This is his defense at the trial. His defense was, I can't be convicted of that because I didn't have the mental intent to assault a dead body. He says, I was trying to commit an SA, and instead I was surprised and horrified to find out that this person was dead, and therefore... So this ends up being a case that gets taught in Canadian law schools. Because the principle that exists in Canada is that if your intent is to commit a more serious crime, you can't use that as a defense to say you didn't have an intent to commit the less serious crime. So, for instance, if you are trying to commit a murder and instead all you end up committing is a mischief because you tried to shoot at somebody and you ended up only damaging their their door or whatever, then that's not a defense. You can still be convicted of that with that transferred intent. We had to have this case in Canada. That had to be argued. Now, in Wisconsin, there are different rules, because the first thing I did when they said that this, I had lots of people asking me, what about this not a person? I think I had 3 people send me that link going, what about this not a person argument? Is that not the dumbest thing ever? And I thought, well, it really depends on the law for this one. So let's look at the law, because they actually quote the law on this one. And so we're going to go, boop, we've gone over the law. Daddy's going to be annoyed at me for saying boop, but it's a different context of boop. All right. So, this is the statutes on SA. And, you've got the, these details. Now, this is part of that section. And I'm just going to embiggen because otherwise nobody can ever read it. We're going to way embiggen. Hopefully you can see it. Death of victim. This section applies whether a victim is dead or alive at the time of the contact or intercourse. So this is straight up in the statute. And that's a problem, because they're saying in their argument that the person is not, that the victim is not a person because they're dead. And then when we look at this, it actually says it doesn't matter if they're dead or alive. So, uncivil? No. 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 Bad. And random question, does law school take 3 years in Canada? 3 years plus a year of articling. You have to do a year of apprenticeship. So now I thought maybe I'm misreading this because I can't see that the defense would make a mistake like this. I couldn't see that the defense would get this wrong like that. So I went and looked at the cases that they say are the relevant cases on this, and that is this one here. State of Wisconsin versus Alexander Caleb Grunk and Nicholas Owen Grunk and Dustin Blake Radke. So State versus Grunk. Grunk is a heck of a name. So this case is also really bad. Really, really bad. This is a 2008 case, by the way. So just if you're wondering how old it was. Guys, I apologize because Wisconsin is a weird place. Wisconsin is where hope goes to die. All of that stuff about the cheese and so forth, that is really what they're using to cover for some really messed up stuff. So, the issue presented is whether this section criminalizes contact or intercourse with the victim already dead at the time of the SA when the accused did not cause the death of the victim. We conclude that it does. So, let's look at what these facts were. And I apologize, guys, but we are in spicy time. But I feel like we may need to do this. And I feel like we may have needed to do this a while ago. Haven't used that one in a while. But for purposes of this appeal, the facts presented are undisputed, which means that Nicholas Grunky, I don't know, Grunk, I'm going to go with, sought and received the consent of his twin brother, Alexander Grunk, and his friend, Dustin Radke, to help him disinter a female corpse located in a Cassville, Wisconsin cemetery so that the three of them could transfer the corpse to another location where Nicholas planned to have intercourse with it. Apparently, Nicholas conceived, God, that's a terrible choice of language, bad Wisconsin Supreme Court, conceived this plan after seeing the obituary of the victim in a newspaper. Guys, I hate this case so much. I just hate this so much. I see it's Grunky, just like how you're pronouncing Radke. Okay. So yeah. They began to execute Nicholas's plan. Now I'm just gonna say, I don't have any friends this good. I don't have any friends that I'm not friends with anybody as much as Nicholas Grunky is friends with people. Because I can tell you that if my brother called me up and said, "Hey, there's a body I want to dig up, and I'm really hoping that you can, that you can help me because I am hoping that I can, do things to this body." I would be like, "Cool, I'll meet you at 5. Hang up and call the police." Like that is that's where I'd be, right? Like that is that's exactly where I'd be on that one. I don't have any friends whatsoever that I would be everybody knows I'm good friends with Rob, and Rob wouldn't ask because holy crap, but if Rob did ask, "Hey, help me do this," I would be like, no, this would be no. Um, would Gimlet help his brother? I don't even haven't even decided if Gimlet's going to help his brother get out of the trouble with the with the loan sharks, let alone this one. Um, but yeah. So, and I see somebody saying we got to go back and go over the Shabusiness. We'll go over that, but first we'll cover. We're midway through here. We'll cover this one. So the Grunkies and Radke began to execute Nicholas's plan days after Nicholas read the obituary. Days. Now, guys, if you want to know how much this is a terrible idea, I just want you to do a little experiment. Get a shoebox. This is the experiment you can do just to see how messed up Wisconsin is. Get a shoebox. Right? You got your shoebox. Get like a cheap roast. Just like just a basic roast that you'd get at, it just like one of the ones that you're supposed to, and then stick it in the shoebox, put the lid on it, and bury it in your backyard. Go back 3 days. Wait 3 days. Dig that shoebox up. Open that shoebox up. And let me know if you're feeling like it's business time. Because if you're feeling like it's business time when that smell hits your nostrils, you might be a grunky. This is not. So, the three defendants returned to the cemetery with. So they located the victim's gravesite. They later. So this is when they began. Later on September 2nd. What's our time frame on this? Do we have a time frame? How many days has this been? Later on September 2nd, they returned to the cemetery with shovels, a crowbar, a tarpaulin, and a box of condoms, which the men had purchased that evening on the way to the cemetery. I guess it's good that they're using protection. They dug into the victim's gravesite while Alexander stood watch. They dug a hole 3.5 feet wide by 3 feet long, 1 foot 8 inches deep, and they uncovered the top of the victim's concrete vault, which they were unable to open. Soon after they discovered that the concrete vault was impenetrable, a car drove into the cemetery and the men fled. I'm thinking concrete vaults are going to go up in value now. I'm just going to say all of this is making me think cremation is the way to go. Cremation is the way to go. So, yeah. Anyway, later at 11 p.m., an officer arrived at the cemetery in response to receiving a call of a suspicious vehicle located there. Upon finding the vehicle, they located Alexander Grunke. He was dressed in black from head to toe, and when he opened the door to the van the defendants had driven, he could see the crowbar, tarp, and the box of condoms. When he couldn't explain why he was in the cemetery, he was arrested, and they later gave interviews to law enforcement where they talked. Guys, I'm just going to tell you. I mean, as much as I say, don't talk to the police under any circumstance. We can borrow the no self-snitching line. We can any of this stuff. I am just going to say there is no amount of leaving aside all of that. Why would you explain this to the cops? How do you explain this to the cops? And just are like, hey, you know what? It was the craziest thing. How does that conversation go? Hmm. Yeah. Um, so the question was, could they be convicted of the SA or the attempted SA? Um, and the court had said that they couldn't. The initial trial court. So the court said that it didn't apply because the victim was deceased due to no act of the accused. However, the appellate court went through all of this, and their ultimate conclusion was that yeah, it can. Yeah, it can. And they say that yeah. So the ultimate ruling on this one is that yeah, the death of the victim does not prevent these charges. Uh, I don't know how. I don't know how any of this actually ends up making any sense. So, shabusiness. Um, Back to shabusiness. Um, so that's the argument defense makes, and um, I don't think that argument's going to hold any water. People ask me to say, is that one going to fly? I don't think it will. I think defense. It looks like defense got it wrong on this one in a way that is going to cause them some trouble on that one. Um, People are asking, what is the business case about? It's bad. There's a decapitation. There is it's just bad. Um, so um, yeah, the that case is all sorts of messy, and there she appears to be as how do I put this? She's nuttier than squirrel poop is really what it comes down to. She's nuttier than squirrel poop is basically the allegation there. But she gave a confession again, talking about using the body for gratification, um, which is yeah. She made comments asking the detectives if they knew what it was like to love something so much that you kill it. Um, so yeah, um, I see. Yeah, I see. That's an insult to squirrel. That's fair. Nuttier than Mr. Peanut's wedding. How about that? We'll go with that. Um, yeah. All right. Let's move on. Um, yeah, that's terrible. All right. So, now people wanted to know or cover a bit about Danny Masterson. Uh, I mean, Danny Masterson is is a jury trial, so we've got less to sort of we've got less stuff that we can look at here, but let us bring up sort of some of the details there. So if you don't know, and it's giving me grief over saying subscribe, we're not going to do that. Um, so he was charged with three separate essays, and there's a number of reasons why people are interested in this case. Reason number one is that Danny Masterson was on the set that 70s show, which is which is or was a popular TV show for a while. Um, it hasn't been for a while, but I'm seeing that I should bring up eye bleach first. That's not a bad idea. Um, what do we have in eye bleach? Um, Here's a good eye bleach. Okay, we'll bring up this for eye bleach. Find the odd one out. Stealth. I love that. All right. So, if you watched The Walking Dead, he's the real life brother of Tara. Nice. Um, and I see some people saying that they want a pickle cleanse as well. So we'll do that. All right. So that's yeah, so yeah, he was on that 70s show. He was on a few other things, but his career kind of flatlined when he got accused of a number of essays. Because as you might gather, essays are something that the public does not approve of. They don't like that, and I don't like that. Nobody should like that. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. I'm sort of understating the issue here by a huge margin, but so he pled not guilty, and he then went to trial. And initially, as I recall, his first trial, he got, I believe he had a first trial with a mistrial. But this time he ended up, so on 2 out of 3 of the essay charges, they convicted him. There is a third person where the jury deadlocked. I don't know if I don't know if they're going to retry him on that third one. Now, I'm seeing first trial was a hung jury, so there has been all sorts of weirdness on this one, like the Church of Scientology getting a hold of the disclosure materials, which is kind of icky when you think of the nature of it, because this is stuff about SA allegations and so forth. So, but there are a number of people. It looks like there's a number of people who have made made allegations where they didn't get brought to trial. There's also some details as to so Masterson made some comments. Let me just see if I can find the statement here. This is another reason why this case is icky, and it's real icky. We'll just talk about this. So a rep for Masterson, this was back in, I think it was 2018, 2017, somewhere in there, made this statement. We are aware of the alleged victim's 16-year-old allegations. It was only after the alleged victim was in contact with Leah Remini that she made allegations of SA by Mr. Masterson. The alleged incident occurred in the middle of their 6-year relationship, after which she continued to be his longtime girlfriend, which is not relevant. I mean, that happens. Significantly, during their long relationship, she made numerous inconsistent claims that she was previously SA'd by at least 3 other famous actors and musicians. When Danny ended the relationship, she continued to pursue him, even making threats to beat up his current wife, Bijou Phillips, unless she left him. In fact, we are informed by the church, that's the Church of Scientology, that the only demand the alleged victim made of the church after Danny broke up with her was asking for their help to intervene so the breakup would not be permanent. We're aware also that approximately 14 years ago, a woman referred to in the blog made allegations of SA that the LAPD or LADP, I guess that would be LAPD, but interviewed numerous witnesses and determined the claim had no merit. Based on reading the anti-Scientology blog that posted this story, these false allegations appear to be motivated to boost Leah Remini's anti-Scientology television series, since the alleged victim only came forward after connecting with Leah Remini. So that upset some people because basically they were pointing out the pointing out like the allegation here is that, and it's Remini. Okay. Um, they're basically saying that, this is a conspiracy here. Um, so yeah. Um, the whole Scientology aspect there is, it's a wrinkle. Um, it's a wrinkle on that one. So, and I see, let's go, Brandon. Runkle is drinking hot sauce for $100 super chats tonight. I haven't eaten yet today, like at all. So I'm gonna feel this later. Um, I'm gonna feel this later. So, yeah. Now I don't know if they'll retry him on that deadlock trial. So, and I can say, Scientology has an interesting history. Um, if you guys want to look into things like, Operation Clambake and so forth, um, it's it's an interesting religion. It's an interesting religion, and but right now there's a conviction here. He may try to appeal it, but I've seen reports saying that he is facing a potential life sentence. I don't think he's facing a life sentence. I don't think he's facing, like, I don't think he's likely to get a life sentence. But I mean, if he ends up going to jail on this, he will, that's the end of his career, first of all. But second of all, and, I see people saying it's not a religion, it's a cult. I don't know where I'm using religion in the being generous to them here phrase, right? Um, I um, I don't know where the dividing line between religion and cult is, but it's yeah, the practices there are yeah, and I see people are noting that what is it that he's facing a minimum of 30 years. That I'm looking at. That's um, that's a long time. So if he's facing a minimum of 30 years, that's he'd be what, 70 something when he gets out, if he gets out. Um I don't know if they can deduct like good behavior for that, because the US sentencing thing is complicated. It's really US, like, different states have different rules as to, like, whether you can get good behavior, whether you can get not good like, it's tough. I'm seeing it's up to 30. I'll have to look. So I expect he's going to go away, assuming that he doesn't manage to appeal this. I expect he's going to go away for a long time. And when he gets out, if he gets out, and the other thing is, the other thing I'll tell you is that he's going to be doing very hard time. What I mean by that is that a lot of people in custody don't like these kinds of offenders, right? Um, because you get people in custody who may themselves have been, victims of similar sorts of offenses. You get people in custody who, they have, they've got sisters, they've got daughters, they've got mothers, they've got all of this stuff. And because of that, because they've got, they have empathy. And so what that means is that he is likely to be in danger on that basis. That's factor number one. Factor number two is he's famous. And you will get people who are willing to take a shot at somebody who's famous. You might get somebody who's doing a life sentence already, and then will sit there and go, you know what? Um, I'm doing a life bid anyway, but I can always be known as the guy who took out this famous dude. I'll make the news. I'll make all of this stuff, right? Um, and so that's a risk. Like um, that's a real risk. The other thing is that you will get people who go, "You've got money, pay us, or we put some holes in you." And not the kind that you approve of, like your breathing holes and so forth. But they'll stab him up, and if he doesn't pay. So he may end up getting roped into protection rackets, wherein he has to keep paying in order to not get killed. Now, the other option is that they might put him into protective custody because of all this stuff, right? And if they put him into protective custody, it means he's going to be spending all of his time in a cell, probably talking to only one other person for the rest of that time. The rest of that time. I got a hiccup. Um, so, think about that. Like, think of how long that is spending time with just one person. I see somebody saying, check on the sauce. Sauce is fine, although it is a big bag of sauce in my. So, yeah, 23 hours a day of lockup. That would be very unpleasant. And I saw somebody in the chat mentioning it. I entirely agree. There will be guards who will make his life difficult. Guards have a lot of ability to, and I mean, a fair bit of this is improper. A fair bit of this is, is a problem. I see somebody saying you should probably put that back in the fridge. It is actually shelf stable, so it should be fine. But I'm seeing somebody's. Did I miss that? Uncivil was complaining about not getting an invite to this stream. I didn't see an ask. Now I'm feeling bad. Oh well. I don't know if he's still around. Yeah, guards can make somebody's life really miserable, and in some cases, it's really horrific. Some of the things that they've done. I've seen cases where guards have, for instance, taken somebody and moved their cell to a place to be oh, whoops, we accidentally classified you as Gen Pop when you were supposed to be in protective custody. And oh no, you got murdered. Yeah, it's, that's a problem there. Or they say, you're sitting there and it's like, hey, what happened to your food today? Well, you didn't get fed. Too bad. So today you go hungry. We just forgot to bring your food to you. All of these things happen, and we accidentally put you with this other prisoner who's known for murdering their cellmates, and is listed as do not put with any other person for any reason ever. But whoops, we accidentally put this guy in. So yeah, it's tough. And I mean, a lot of the stuff you see on TV about prisons is not accurate. Like, in the sense of, if you watch Oz, prison is not like Oz. Prison is better than Oz. But there are people who do easy time, and there are people who do hard time. And this guy is much more likely to do hard time. I see Dahmer got released into general population, then he sprouted holes. Yep. I can tell you, I had a client. The guards told him that he would be happier if he was in general population. They told him he'd be fine. he made an application to go into general population, and um, then he ended up in the hospital and realized that that was a very bad, you know, um, very bad move. So this is an interesting question. I don't actually know. Can he receive Scientology religious services in jail? I bet he can. I don't know. All right. Let's talk about something less depressing, because I see Friday night is getting depressing. Let's talk about something less depressing. Do I have something less depressing? It's been some depressing details overall. Um, what else is going on here that is less depressing? Um, it's not this. Sorry, folks. This one is also kind of depressing. Um, we should maybe cover this one as a Trials of the Century. Um, so, um, notorious child killer Paul Bernardo transferred to Quebec institution. Um, this is his courtroom sketch from uh, 2018. Um, so, what is it? He has a parole hearing that's coming up. The parole hearing is, the news is saying that he could be released. He's not going to get released. He's not ever going to get released. I just can't see that he's going to, that he's ever going to get released. But Bernardo is, people have asked me to cover his case, and I can't cover it on YouTube. I might do one that is like a Rumble and Locals exclusive. But they're moving him to medium security. Medium security is, he'll be more comfortable there. And that's probably because he's fairly, his risk of, of offending is lower. So, yeah. People are saying, I can't believe his wife got out and had a baby. His wife got out because of a detail that is like a deal that basically. So the background on this, he was convicted of a couple of murders and worse. His wife helped him with those. And his wife, you know, so she told the police that she was basically an abused spouse, that she was a victim in all of this. She said all of that, this sort of thing. And so they gave her a deal. And they gave her like this incredible deal that would have her out in not so long. And yes, I'm really understating it because it's YouTube and I don't want to get yeeted. Now, there were videotapes, and there's a whole complicated thing about the videotapes and how they got hidden. A lawyer got disciplined for this, a whole lot of stuff. And by the time the police realized what the deal was with her, like by the time they realized what her actual involvement was, it was too late. They had a signed, sealed, and delivered deal on this one, and they actually went and saw. The Crown prosecutor saw additional. They basically said, "Can we back out of this deal? Is there any basis to back out of this deal?" And they said, "No, we can't." Yeah. Part of the reason why he'd be going to this place is because it's better for protecting him, is the other thing. They have facilities there to protect people who are at likely risk of being murdered in custody. So, yeah. This story is terrible. I am not going to go into it in super detail because it is really, really bad. And in ways that we just can't go through it. But maybe I'll do a locals and Rumble discussion of it because it's really terrible. All right, let's do a swoop. Somebody's saying, how does medium level have more to protect them than high security? They have a facility there that's for that. They have a facility there that's just for that aspect. All right. Let us talk about something a little more fun. Let's talk Trials of the Century. Some people have been saying, have you picked a case to cover for Trials of the Century? And I have. And it's one that you may or may not have heard of. It is also super important. So the case that we're going to cover for Trials of the Century is a case. What is it? It's not. It's Donahue and Stevens. So we're done. We're done. We're talking about. So Donahue and Stevens is basically the beginning of product liability. So if you see the cases where people sue each other over, where people get sued because they're like, I found a rat in my, the Hungry Man dinner or whatever. This is the origin that makes it possible. And I see people saying that it doesn't ring a bell. This is a case that you may not be familiar with, but it's important. It is an old case. It's an old UK case, but it's an interesting one. And so that's what I'm wanting to cover. It's also kind of lighthearted. It's one of the trials of the century where there's no murders. Nobody Oh, I was going to say nobody dies. A bunch of people die, but nobody is murdered. We'll talk about that too. So there's no murders, no gory details, no. It's just a case about somebody getting it's one of these civil lawsuits, and we'll talk about just the wrinkles on it. We'll talk about all the weird twists and turns, and yeah, I think it's going to be a fun one. So we'll what is it? We'll have to sort of go over that one. But once we're able to do that, we'll set up our members only chat. I'm going to try an experiment on the members only. I'm going to try doing them Emily D. Baker style. She's got a method for doing that. And the Emily D. Baker style is to make sure that people who are subscribers on Patreon are able to follow this one. Peter Spinney saying it's the pharmacist that was all no poisoned kids. No, we're not doing poisoned kids. It's this one is just purely it's lighthearted. It's it's lighthearted. It's nobody people die, but it's unrelated to the case except in the procedural history, if that makes sense. They just die unrelated to the case, if that makes any sense. So graceful answers. I'll go through some super chats here. Maybe we'll swoop. Yes, it's the snail case. It is the snail case. Donahue and Stevens. You don't need to research it at this point because we're going to research it. But I'll go through some super chats here. Graceful Answers Ministries. Did you see they used this in the recent Bleefnik case? What did you think? I haven't seen it. Now I'm going to have to check it out. Against the Tide is saying, Ruckle of the Bailey, are you going to be Rob's lawyer against Spidey? Or are you too close for being Rob's brother? I probably have to recuse myself just by virtue of conflict. So Steve A., today's judicial hero, William G. Hooks. Yep, that was quite the decision. That's referring to the what do you call it? Firearm one. Tia Nina, Rob, don't get married in Cuba like Mike did. And don't get married in Cuba in a situation where, like, don't bring Malort. I feel like Mike's wedding would have had Malort at it, and don't do that. Um, Speaking of spice, 119 minutes in, we are on spicy time. So, all right, we've got some super chats to catch up on here. We'll try to go through them here. Laurie Ellis, hello, Ian from Toronto. Cheers. Just wanted to let you know that now I've finished with Rob's gift. I've begun yours, though it may take me a while because I'm a perfectionist. Lol. I know those feels. I know those feels. All right. Record Hound is saying, I post videos of records. No problem posting cool and rare CanCon. The rules are going to be complicated on that. Did he say when the next Trials of the Century will be? Sorry if I missed it. I have a factum coming up, so I'm gonna check with Rob. But just I hope that he's okay with us doing the members only aspect, just after the after that factum is due. So, and then a week after that, we can do the full episode. So I'm just gonna check with him on that. Susan, thank you for being here tonight. It's a good life, but challenging week. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a challenge. I'm gonna have to get through all that. Mystic Hamster Cat, my daughter wants me to say hi to you. Hi. Hi. June on a Wednesday. Yeah. So I'm thinking probably the 28th is when I'm thinking. So what is the real job getting in the way again? It is. What's a factum? It is legal filings. I have to do a whole bunch of legal research and writing, and it's gonna suck. But I got to do it. So it's gonna be like, yeah. Gonna be a project. Lindsay, motion for your new swoop to be one or both of the pups running across the screen. I like that idea. Just got a new, or Ellen, not Sarah Lee, just got a new Smith & Wesson Snubnose 38 Special, mod 642. I like my revolvers. I like a revolver too. They're a fun gun to shoot. So Rob is not in Cuba. Rob is not in Cuba. All right. And Braden, thank you very much for the membership. Much appreciated. Welcome aboard. Scotty's Rock Maggie, thank you very much. Welcome aboard. Much appreciated. Tim Cranston saying specify Canadian dollars. Thank you. I did. That's important. Moffat on Money. Ian, good to see you tonight. Thanks for picking up the slack and handling FNF on your own. Always informative and enjoyable. Thank you. Thank you as well. Caitlin, hi, Runkle. I have a question. I grew up with a guy who was 21 and got a DUI for driving his electric wheelchair home a few blocks from the bar. Seems super sus to me, but was that a justifiable arrest? I've never actually looked at that in Canada. I mean, I could see the argument for why it would be a motor vehicle. So I'll just have to check that out. I wonder if I'm going to have to look now and see if there was a Canadian conviction on that. See, Mike's not married, running joke. Okay, good. That is, that would have, I was wondering why I was out of the loop. An interesting test would be 30 new sequentially produced pistols from the same rifling machine. How many bullets would match? That is an interesting question for sure. Hi, folks. Happy Friday. What did we talk about? I'm in St. Augustine. Yes, you could share. So thank you. Lindsay, this was from a bit ago, but take a pull on that sauce. I did. It was tasty. I quite like it. Brentwood Chic, halfway there. And then we got all the way there for the spicy one. Summer Butterfly was throwing in $10 towards the sauce. Bop it, drink for the pups. Ian, your braid finally arrived at Canadian Customs. Watching the stream and programming my CNC router. We'll try to finish EDB's braid this weekend. The spice must flow. Yep, it has. Rhineman YYC, I think the drop for the spice must flow would also work for the thirst. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. And then that way it, yeah. Um, Crayon Writer saying these lawyers on here all are right-wing circle jerkers. My dude, you don't know me. I am pro-gun, but I'm also pro a bunch of other things. So I don't think my views map neatly to that. So just saying, like, I don't have an easy, there's not an easy one-to-one correlation on any of that. Need a link to the Legally Blonde when it's set up. Oh, there'll be a link to that. Kelly GB to the Thirst Work. Want to see more versions? I will have to get that going. Now, I think that was the one that took me over the second thing there. So keep going to Runkle's Fun. We got $10 in the queue for another drink there. Lethal String, thank you very much for the membership. Philip Martin, marinate a steak in the bag. No. I think that takes us up to $12. Simply Cheryl, thank you on the new membership there. Rideman YYC, how much of a Stollery donation for the bag? I don't know how to think about that one. So, yeah. This one is accurate. Ian is Runkletarian, not right wing. Correct. Nicole has ADHD saying, I have a swoop to send. Where? Twitter, email. Runkle of the Bailey at gmail.com would be the best way to go. Billy's Momzilla is saying, run ballistic test on all guns when manufactured, then registered. They have tried this, and you know what? It solved 0 crimes. The reason why it solved 0 crimes is that ultimately, if you do a test and, like, let's say I go to the range and I shoot my handgun, and I mean, it's a range trip. I shoot like 400 rounds. The rifling on the first round won't match the rifling on the 400th round. So if you run a ballistic test on all guns when manufactured, you're not going to be able to match them to any crimes unless they're never used. A state tried this, and they ended up throwing out their database because they found it was just not worth it. So, yeah. And Crayon Writer, thanks for answering at least. Well, you're Canadian, so it's easier to not be tied to the right wing. Nice and tidy. I mean, do you want gun access in Canada like in America? I don't think quite like in America, but I would like to see more firearm access rather than our current system, because right now they're banning a ton of things. I believe that the Mohawk land out at Oka, I think it's a good thing that it's not a golf course. And the reason why it's not a golf course is because the Mohawk were armed. But for them having guns, that land would be a golf course right now, and not, and their traditional land would have been paved over and seeded and would be just, that. I support groups like the Pink Pistols and Armed Equality because, if you've got groups who are at higher risk of violence, I think they should be able to defend themselves. We had a case. There was a situation a while back where there was a serial rapist in the River Valley, and the police put out a statement to say, women who need to walk in the River Valley, reminder, it's still illegal to carry pepper spray. And I think, I would have actually been on the side of saying, how about we'll be on the side of the women and not on the side of team offender? Maybe we should not, I might have, if I was the police, put out a statement going, Yep, it's still illegal to have pepper spray. Um, we're not going to charge you, though. We're just not going to charge you if we find you walking home with a knife while there's this guy out there. And if he happens to get stabbed, um, that'll be real sad for all of 6 minutes. Um, like, I believe in people should be having the ability to protect themselves, but I also believe in a bunch of other things. Like, I am not, I don't map easily to any sort of thing. I get pissed off with every politician. So, people are like, oh, you just agree with the Conservative Party. I'm like, I have done plenty of videos telling you that, or saying that their policies are dumb. I just recently did a video saying that they're like, um, Bill C-311 is dumb. It's not really an abortion bill, but it's stupid. Um, so yeah, yeah, it's just a headache. So I just think that there's way too many things that the world is too complicated for any political party, and I tend to think that if you are thinking deeply about the issues, you won't end up with that you won't end up agreeing with any of the parties because the parties don't think deeply on the issues. So, and Devin is asking, do I have my airfare booked yet? I do have my airfare booked. That's covered, and I'm told I've got a hotel room. So, yes. Um, I see Ian's burning holes in his stomach again. Yep. Now I know why your hair turned gray so soon. You are not wrong. I think we're at about $20 into another pull on the sauce there. And this will take us to 25. Opposite of amnesia, Wisconsin resident here, wondering where we pick up our award for having the most wild cases. Yeah, I don't know. 27 here. Clay can join if you need a wingman. I saw this way too late. I guess I can send a link if he's still looking. Shell C, thank you for YouTube membership. Vez from Quebec, I think that takes us to about $30. Well, you eat surströmming. That I ate surströmming once, and I don't think I would eat it again. Although I could, I would be willing. I'd be willing to eat it again, but I'm not like gonna go out of my way to try it. If I'm ever actually in, if I'm ever actually like in, is surströmming Swedish? Yes. Um, so if I was in Sweden, I would go to a restaurant to get surströmming and have it like done, or I'd go to the house of like if somebody here is Swedish and says, "Hey, we'll do surströmming," I'd go try it. Like I'd go do that, just to be like, let's do it. But I mean, it didn't wow me. It was okay. It was tasty, but it wasn't. You know, yeah, wasn't fantastic. I see. I agree, mate. Political parties suck. Doesn't Canada have three main parties? Yep. The Liberal Party, the NDP Party, which currently is Liberal Light, and the Conservative Party, which is conservative but still left of most of the U.S. parties. I think they're left of the Democrats. Crayon Writer, the way you handled my messages made me respect you, mate. Well, thank you. I mean, you didn't. You seemed like you had a criticism, but you weren't just throwing crap. So I thought I'd address it. Um, Sometimes you get people who are just in the chat just throwing feces, and there I'm like, that I'll just ignore. But when it's somebody who's got like you know a, a, a valid criticism, sure, I'll talk about it. And use a clip from Rob's face for your last hot sauce challenge for your label. I would actually need Rob's consent to do that. I would actually need Rob to sign off on it. So I will have to check on that. Um, That comment was related to the smell of the corp fair. Um, fair. Um, so I think we're at 35. Uncivil making the pukey face for $2. Nice. Can I suggest some reddit.com/ibleach first? That was a good suggestion. Um, Jenna Rea Cartwright, thank you for the membership. I think we're at $40, and this will take us to 50. On top of blind testing, they should also not be informed whether it's an actual case they're doing or whether it's an exam. I agree 100%. If they know, then they'll probably give more care if notified it's a test. 100%. They should be told sometimes it's going to, this is for the ballistic testing. They should be told that sometimes it's, they'll be tested, and sometimes it'll be, a real case, and they won't know which is which. They won't know which is which at all. So, Kristen's Canine Concepts. Hi, I'm late. Just got off work. One of my dogs dispatched a groundhog tonight and brought it in the house. Oh, I'm so sorry about the cleaning. I am so sorry about the cleaning on that one. So, what's your law specialty, or does it not work like that in Canada? The Law Society here doesn't like us, doesn't allow us to say we're specialists unless they approve. But the kind of law I do and I'm interested in is criminal defense and firearms law. Those are the things that that interest me. I see Trent Van saying they will know because they will get literally 2 rounds to compare. No, we'll go to the range. We'll send them a bunch of dummies. So it won't be that you get 2 rounds. It'll be you get 50 rounds, and you have to identify which one is the match. That would be how I'd do it. And if you can't identify it, then you aren't science. So rifling isn't a true thing. It is. It's just that it gets way overblown as to how easy it is to match it up. Way overblown. Whoops, that one we just covered. Why is this so depressing? Because it is. And Spooky Wife, thank you for the new membership there. RK, Ian, what's the best way to reach you? Twitter DM works pretty well. Gmail works as well. Having a package heading to Canada for you. Thanks for covering FNF tonight. Well, much appreciated. I think that takes us to 60 on the hot sauce aspect. Runkle of the Bailey, when you say he'll send a bunch of dummies, are you talking sled or ammo? I'm talking, in this case, fired cartridges. So we didn't have any really fun law this week. It's been a depressing week. I wish that there was something really crazy. I actually was doing a further check just to see if we had something, just to see if there was something a little sillier. But nothing like that right now. It's unfortunate. Nicole has ADHD. I feel like the second one is more Zora, and hopefully I can share this because I'm going to. Let's, if my computer will not act up. Why is my computer acting up? Hopefully I haven't lost the stream. My computer is doing a thing. It's having a moment. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Why is it doing this? Why is it having a moment? There we go. There we go. Hopefully people say I'm still good for the now. Yep. I missed one. Somebody was saying that they attended the Danny Masterson trial. Absolutely get in touch with me. I would love to get your insights on that one. Did I see the kids charged for spraying fart spray? I did not. That's exciting. Joe Loy, have a good night. That's That's wonderful. That's I see the Toronto mayoral debate was canceled yesterday because someone threatened to kill the candidates. That's no good. He's in custody with 3 charges. That sounds like 3 serious charges. So hopefully that's that's the place for him to be. Do you have an opinion on the case against the guy? I want to look into this one. I want to start covering that one. Against the guy who didn't do his job as prescribed and approach an active shooter in a school. It'll be precedent setting. I think this guy should ideally go to jail because I have some serious concerns about like how do you, it's literally your job, right? It's literally what you do for your job. So I don't like that at all. I mean, this is what we pay police for, right? Um, this is why we pay them. This is what it's all about. So yeah, I want to share with you guys the and I see if guilty. Yes, if guilty. They got to convict him, but this is one of the pictures that was sent to me by Nicole has ADHD. I think that's a pretty good Zora picture there. And I see that it's settled law. I mean, from what I understand, the police basically have no duty to intervene, even if they see you actively getting murdered. It's like, okay, well, but I think that's a problem. So I'm going to try to look into, the Scott Peterson case. I see there's a lot of scapegoating. I mean, the thing is that it's literally, so this is actually the Canadian protocol. And what I mean by that is that the Canadian protocol is that is that when you arrive on scene, you go in. When there's an active shooter, you actively go in. And the reason why is because the thing that stops active shooters is when they start getting rounds coming their way. That's what stops that. And so I feel that that it's really important that people actively do this. Now, I see people are saying, yeah, and engaged by anyone. It's one of the reasons there have been plenty of situations of active shooters who've been held by, who've been like pinned down by a civilian, and where that's ended things. People are saying Peter's done good coverage of it. I will have to check that out. But what is it? Nutrition Nut saying, I know you aren't talking about hot sauce now, but you've inspired me to try to ferment my own hot sauce. I really recommend that. So check it out. Give it a try. See, we were in a couple of the search parties to find Lacey, and Scott was nowhere. But yeah, being a cop is a dangerous job. Don't sign up unless you're willing to put it on the line. Yep. Afroman updates. The latest update on that is the motion to dismiss, which we covered last Monday. So you're saying the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, lol. I don't even think that this is controversial, honestly. I know people laugh about that one, but I don't even think it's controversial. Yeah, wrong, Scott Peterson. Yeah. In the case of Scott Peterson, they're basically arguing he had a duty as a caregiver, and therefore he's as responsible as some. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to dig into it. I'm going to have to check in on that one. So, yeah, Uvalde, one of the guys who did nothing. Friends bought Mexican food over last night. Dog was being really quiet. At bedtime, discovered a dish of salsa licked clean in my bedroom. Spicy doggos. Zora, if allowed, will just eat hot sauce. So, yeah, I mean, I know people laugh about the good guy with a gun thing. They say, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, who do you think stops it? Like, we don't send in a guy with a sandwich. You know, we don't um, we don't send in like, somebody with like balloons or flowers. It's always going to be somebody with a gun. It's just a question of which guy it is. And the question is always, it comes down to um, which people you trust to be the person to stop it. And so a lot of that comes down to how much do you trust the ordinary members of society. Um, I actually feel like I trust the ordinary members of society quite a bit. Uh, and I don't mean like any, I mean just somebody who is, just an ordinary person who is able to pass whatever tests you need or whatever. Yeah, it's misused to imply that everyone is a good guy and anyone is entitled to have any type of gun. Yeah, the thing is though, overall, I actually tend to think that a lot of random people on, in the public are better people, like better good guys than the police are. Um, you know, I see a good professional, well trained, well armed, equipped with communication devices is who I would trust. Maybe that's the police, but I tend to think not. I look at this and I go, to me, Uvalde was even worse because parents were trying to go in and cops prevented parents from going in. I actually think that I think the parents were the good guys there. And quite frankly, I think that this could have been I think that situation would have been better dealt with if it was just like, hey, you four parents who are really keen on going in, um, take these cops as ARs. They're not willing to do crap. Take their body armor. There's like the cops are sitting there not willing to do anything. We'll just armor up and rifle up these four, because those parents would have actually done something. They would have gotten the job done. And I can tell you that, like, based on the sort of tactical scenario there, I could have picked four parents and led them in on that one without comms. Like, just, hey, here's what you're going to do. Here's how we're going to work this. And, like, I could have gotten an airsoft team in there to, like, what was going on in that was positively negligent. It was just absolutely, tragic, because what they did is they sat there and they waited for more, deaths while preventing people from going in. That's what it comes down to. The good guys, with a gun thing, is like, well, um, I don't know that everybody is necessarily a good guy, but I also don't know that the cops necessarily are good guys either. I just, I don't think that the Uvalde cops were good guys. What is it? Tennessee cops at the school did a good job. Not perfect, but they went in as fast as they could. Tennessee cops did a great job. I mean, the Tennessee cops, you see them, I could criticize their clearing. I could criticize, all of this. I'm not gonna, because at the end of the day, they were moving. They were going towards the threat. And that's what we need to see. That was the lesson that was taught to us that was the lesson that people learned out of the École Polytechnique shooting. That was the big change in that was, you need to go in and you need to, you need to actually engage the shooter. So yeah, and I see just Sarah saying the Uvalde parents wouldn't have needed anything from the cops. They would have rushed him if needed. I mean, they could have gone in and they could have gone in. I mean, I think they would have done a better job with, like, just like shovels or knives or, you know, big rocks, like whatever they could have found. Um, so, and you know, I agree with this. It just makes me sick with that so many of these shootings are happening in the first place. I agree. Um, it is messed up that this stuff is happening, but I think that the symptomology of this is deeper than firearms. This typically comes from a place of anger and despair, and that combination of anger and despair that you get from these people, I'm just like, how do we stop people from being in that situation of anger and despair, that we you know, that leads them to this? How do we get to a place where people are less messed up? That I think is a tougher question. So yeah. Um, yeah, with Uvalde, did you see the one mom who drove from miles away, went and got her 2 kids and 1 friend? Then she got sued for tampering with active investigation. Big mad. Yeah, it's nuts. And yeah, Angeli Rose Gomez at Uvalde saved her 2 sons, not daughter, and a bunch of other kids while the cops tried to arrest her because she was trying to help evacuate her sons. Yeah, I just want to see. I don't have like the perfect solution. I just think that we can do better than we are. All right, let's do a swoop, and I'll cover some, you know, cover some of these super chats here. All right, Joe Loy is saying night all. Well, thank you. In the Scott Peterson case, they're basically arguing he had duty as a caregiver, and therefore he is as responsible for some of the deaths and injuries. Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. Friends bought Mexican food over last night. Dogs being really quiet at bedtime. Discovered a dish of salsa like clean in my bedroom. I can't fault the dog. I would do the same. Could you post the video eating fish? Can't find the live stream it was on. Friend doesn't believe you ate it. Thanks for all the entertainment. You know what? I will do that. We could do that. My wife had a dog that snuck her pepper spray from her purse, chewed the can until it leaked, and licked it until it ran out. She lost 3 cans that way. I think some dogs like spicy things. Oh, and we got another one asking for the fish video. All right, we'll play the surströmming video because, and then I think I'm at another pull of the hot sauce. But first, we'll play the surströmming video. Let me pull that up here. I just gotta find it. Where is that in my? Here we go. Surströmming video. All right, so here we go. Trying to do this sort of as traditionally as possible. So I've got some sour cream and potatoes and all of that. And I'm not going to do I don't puke thing, in this video, just so you know. Seems to like to do, which is to open this out in the air. I also have the there's no puking. Proper Scandinavian weather here for this. Instead, I'm going to try to open this underwater. All right, I'm going to go grab food as people are suggesting. Here. Smell is not great, but I'm not dying. I've got the lid off, basically. Alright. See if we can drain this a little bit. Yeah, the smell is pungent. But, as I said, I'm not dying. I also have some akavit here. Take one of the fillets, break it up a little bit maybe. I don't know if I'm supposed to eat it with bones or not. Pull that I lost one in here. Go back in there. Pick that up. Probably don't need the fin. All right, here we go. Not bad. Not fantastic. That's all right. People are asking what they're watching. This is me trying surströmming. Surströmming is fermented fish that is, it's sealed in a can and it's actually a bulged can. Tons of people, there's lots of videos of people out there like trying this and throwing up. But I decided to try it the right way, like how people actually eat it. So yeah, somebody wanted to see it, this video again. It's not shark, it's herring. Trying to think of how to describe the taste. It is kind of a fermented taste. There's way more in a can than I'm going to be able to get through, though. Now this, I think, is... I had this in a cupboard for way too long, and I understand that it keeps fermenting at that point. So I suspect it's lost some of its texture and gotten a little softer than it's supposed to be. Zora is concerned about my safety. She is worried that I'm doing stupid things. She's not wrong. I've had worse meals, I can say that. This is not bad. Cool. Does go nicely with the akavit. A little stringy in places. I don't even notice the smell at this point. Now this can was fairly expensive to import, so I'm probably not going to get another one anytime soon. But somebody's dragging something along. Ooh. A little chilly out. Potatoes are a lot of food. So yeah, um, not bad, not fantastic. Kind of has a taste like a bit of a Worcestershire sauce kind of taste to it. All right. Well, I probably had enough potato, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. But yeah, give it a try. It's not as bad when you eat it properly as the internet would tell you. So, cheers. I mean, that's the thing is it's just not that. It's got a smell to it, but at the same time, like you just eat it. Um, somebody was asking how did I throw it out? Well, I put it in the trash bin, and I don't think any I don't think anybody was going to dig through my trash to steal anything. It was, but yeah, I mean, you see all these challenges of people trying it and you know not being able to keep it down. It was it was okay. Like when I just tried it as as it was. So um, yeah, I mean, the other thing is that I'd eaten like a couple hours before, and so I underestimated just how much food the potatoes were. I would have eaten the rest of it, except I was just like, oh my god, the potato. Um, the Zora was very. I think Zora was actually upset because um, basically because I left her inside alone and was sitting there outside eating something. She's like, I want to come out there, and the thing is that if she came out, she might have been like, I want this stuff, and that might have been a thing. Some of the some of the surströmming juice ended up on the ice, and Zora ate that section of ice, like just ate that section of ice and snow. And I can tell you, her breath is not necessarily great at the best of times. Um, her breath after eating that snow, where the surströmming juice had filled, was epic levels of bad. I didn't feed her like the remainder of the can. I threw a bunch of it out because it was just like I can't take this inside and put it in my fridge. Um, I but I was just like, oh my god, your breath is so bad. Um, so I I was just like, oh god, no. Um, so yeah, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I try all sorts of things. Yeah, and somebody saying, "Thank goodness Mrs. Runkle was away when you did this." Um, I don't think she would have been happy with me. Just the smell on me when I came back in the house, I think she would have been upset about that one. Um, but like, there were people when I went to Scotland. There were people going, "Oh my god, you ate haggis," and I was like, "I ate haggis, and the haggis was good. The haggis was excellent. Um, I would eat haggis again." So I'm gonna be I'm you know I'm gonna have to get some haggis sometime soon here. Usually it's only easy to get in sort of January, but I am gonna I'm gonna try to get some haggis just to compare the Canadian versus the Scottish one, just so I can be like, hey, which is the better one? Because the Canadian haggis leaves out lungs, so there's an ingredient missing. Um, but yeah, um, let's see. Haggis is just low effort sausage. Really, it is. It's just it's just good sausage. Um, there's all sorts of things I want to try. I want to try Hakarl. I want to try a bunch of things. Oh, and people are asking, did it like upset my stomach? It didn't. I mean, it was just fish at the end of the day. Um, it was just it was just fine. Um, I I yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was not bad. I'd eat it again. The surströmming. Um, it's just the can was like $60 by the time it was imported. Um, so I can't see spending that $60 just to you know just to do that again. All right. I think I should wrap things up a little here. We are um, we tomorrow we've got Lawyers and Dragons, which for me means being up at 8 a.m. So I think I'm gonna see if I can pop on to Danny's stream um, for a moment there. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. And but I think for now I'll wrap up here. And so if you want to head over, Danny and Direct is streaming right now, I think. So head on over there and check that out. Oh, and I owe you guys another sip of this. So I'm just making sure it's good and that is tasty. Now, I'm just gonna see if I can do a set up a raid here. I'm just trying to see. I don't know if I can sort of pipe everyone over to her stream. I'm just gonna find out. Um, so I'm just let me just redirect, add. I don't know if I don't know if I'm on her approved list of redirectors. Um, I think that works. All right, we're gonna see if this works. We're gonna see if this works. If it does, hopefully everyone gets kicked over to Danny's stream. If not, then I will. Well, I'll probably see you guys Monday. So have a great night. I'm trying to send everyone over and see you guys. Well, and I'll see you tomorrow for Lawyers and Dragons. I've got Gimlet Otter Fiegel to play. So I'll run the outro and see you soon.